Oh dear. Can you guys hear me? Oh, now you can. Oh, sweet. Okay. All right. Sorry. I just muted the chat because they were talking and I couldn't speak and they couldn't hear me. We are live, guys. What's good? Yeah, we're live. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Hangout episode 5. Hope you're all doing well. Holy shit, do we have news to discuss this evening. So, for those who don't know the Hangout, it is my second channel, second show on my channel. It's a bit more informal, and we just go back and forth with whoever is down for talking. And who better to have on the show tonight than Akira and Zubitech? We probably will get more jumping in as the show goes on, including David Faulkner, who has a lot to say about this. He's a little tied up at the moment and a little bit busy, a little bit preoccupied, but he will definitely be jumping on in a little while. Guys, sorry about the technical issues and the slow start. Just for some reason the microphone wasn't working and wasn't detecting, but is now all good. Hope you're all doing well. What an evening, wouldn't you agree? I don't know how you guys, Zubi and Akira, feel about the news that just hit us about 2 hours ago. Well, what's your thoughts?
Associated with the Xbox, so is the landscape is changing. Like the industry's consolidated already, in my opinion. So in terms of like PlayStation, is such a big move. It's not only like the IP, like Destiny, the dev talent is humongous. Like they probably perfected live service games. They've always done it like from the ground up or on like console as well. But yeah, it's great to see like Sony acquiring someone this big, like of Bungie. Like their relationship on PlayStation 4 was very strong. Like they had limited edition consoles. The partnership was like very, very strong there. So I'm not like surprised to see them go for Bungie.
You know the moral of this story, guys? It's not what you got, it's who you got. It's who you know. And I tell you, Sony seem to know the industry so freaking well, but as friends of the industry, you know, not invaders. And it's truly incredible to kind of see these events unfold. So I'm so glad you guys are here, Zubi and Akira, and hopefully more will jump in at some point. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Captain Thug Nasty, so good to see you here, brother. PlayStation channel, yeah. What's good? CJ UK, Toolman, JC, what's good?
So guys, I wanna tell you what I told
Retro. Shout out to you.
What I told Subitech, right? I want to tell you guys. So what I told Subitech is this: would it be really funny if PlayStation finally makes a Halo killer with the Halo developers themselves? Because only Bungie can beat Bungie. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong, man. Bloody hell. The irony, though. It is ironic, isn't it?
I will. Shit. I gotta say, man, a lot of people, admittedly, a lot of people were not very happy about what Aaron Greenberg did with the profile picture in the Crash Bandicoot, right?
Yep.
And then I saw a good friend of mine, Luca, on Twitter, which is actually, an Xbox player, but she also plays PlayStation. She loves JRPGs anyway. Basically, she made this tweet that Sony getting Bungie is the biggest fuck you that Sony can do to Microsoft, basically.
She ain't wrong.
And you know, Microsoft kind of did that to Sony when they took Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. So yeah, it also kind of, the optics looks like that before, and the optics looks like this now. It's actually, it's really, it's a bizarre timeline, man. Again, you know, Shinji Mikami under Xbox, Crash Bandicoot under Xbox, Bungie other PlayStation. It's, yeah, man. Yeah, it's just crazy all throughout right now. You know, Bungie. My only knowledge about Bungie before, right? I already said outright, I'm not familiar with Bungie. I have not a lot of knowledge about Bungie, but I remember the huge events back then when Halo was, you know, being released, you know, these big parties that people do, right? And then I also saw this, you know, I saw a lot of people say Bungie is Halo and Halo is Bungie, right? And that's, you know, and also the CEO of Bungie personally shut down rumors about Microsoft acquiring them 3 times. I remember that. That's why I thought, you know what, Bungie doesn't want to get bought by anyone. They want to do their own thing. That's why this acquisition was something that never crossed my mind. I'm just really surprised. And the only reason I can find why they did this is because they're weak at first-person games and multiplayer and live service, and Bungie kind of covers all fronts. So yeah, that's kind of like how I saw it.
Yeah, it's I just can't get my head around all this, to be honest. But you're absolutely right. Luciatle is spot on when she said it's the biggest FU to Microsoft. And what an ironic turn of events. So I want to break this down with you guys, with you, Zuby, and you, Akira. But also, just first, shout out to Shaky Shako, Retro, Family Man Gamer, The Unknown, J942.
First, Wooly, what do you think of it?
Sure.
What do I think of it? Oh, shit.
Yeah. Give your take first.
This actually blew me away more than... It blew me away as much as the Activision deal. I mean, the Activision deal was a different kind of blowing away. It was like, is this real? They tell me this is a dream. Like, I couldn't quite get my head round that this sort of $70 billion purchase happened, because Activision's huge, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with Bungie, it's their IP that's huge. It's not the studio. Yeah, the studio is massive. It's like 1,100 people. And they're an incredibly talented, elite tier developer in terms of skill and technical ability. But it was more the symbolism of it and the talent that they've acquired from it. Because when you think of Activision, you don't think of talent, do you? You think of size, the enormity of it. But with Bungie, they're so talented, and it fits so perfectly with the PlayStation kind of ethos. Just imagine Bungie helping Guerrilla and Insomniac perfect a first-person shooter if they go back down that route, or teaming up with Firesprite to help them on their FPS game that they've got. But also, imagine Sony first-party studios assisting Bungie with techniques that they've learned over the years that Bungie aren't familiar with. See, they complement each other perfectly, and Herman Hulse brought out the fact that their studios always help one another and always kind of work together in this talent pool that they pull together their ideas and share ideas and use each other's techniques in creating their games. Insomniac, for example, with their amazing rendering solution, how they are able to dish out incredible quality visuals at such high fidelity with relatively little power to a degree. They're able to make a game like Miles Morales run on a PlayStation 4, for goodness sake. And I imagine they'll be that their skill will be useful with Bungie they'll learn techniques at Bungie on how they do stuff like that with their temporal anti-aliasing solution, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's just it's just one example, but Bungie have a lot to offer Sony, a huge amount, because I think Sony kind of are less familiar with the FPS territory. Obviously, Insomniac had Resistance, and they really had something special with Resistance 3 especially. But, I mean, it's been a while, right? And I think Bungie have truly kind of perfected kind of the art form when it comes to their experience with Halo and Destiny. On top of all of this, it's the fact that Bungie made Halo. They created it. They created it before they were acquired by Microsoft.
100%.
So these you're talking about the minds behind Halo here, not just the craftsmen. You're talking about the minds, and it's just such a and not only that. What impresses me so much about this is they've just made people forget about Activision with a mere $3.6 billion. I mean, it's another Insomniac, compared to Bethesda. Shout out to RGamerB on Twitter. He summed it up perfectly. He said, imagine Insomniac 300... what was it? 300...
229 million.
229 million. Not even a 30th, I don't think, or a 25th even of the Bethesda purchase, right?
Yep.
And look at the output of their games, and he said it's the best buy in gaming history because they spent so little yet got so much from it. And similarly with Destiny, they've spent so little. Not Destiny, with Bungie, they've spent so little relatively, and yet completely overshadowed like the hottest topic of the month so far, which is Activision. I mean, with so little money, they can make absolute mountains, and in comparison to, it makes $70 billion look like. I tell you what, I really want to get our gamers tweet up, and I'll show you how he says it. I'll just show you guys this. Here we go. Let's get this. You guys keep talking whilst I find it. Sorry.
It's all good.
I tell you what, I tweeted it out. I retweeted it, so it'll be on my profile. Here we go. Let's get this up, and I'll just expand the window so people can see. There we go. Here we go. Found it. This will be remembered as the Insomniac versus Bethesda deal. Absolute steal by Sony. Insomniac, 229 million, insane price. Bethesda, 7.5 billion. Only a PlayStation titled exclusive to show for it. 2 actually. Yeah, you've got Ghostwire Tokyo around the corner, just to rub it in. Bungie, 3.6 billion, insane price. Activision, 70 billion, overpriced. And he couldn't be right. He couldn't be more right. Somebody else made a fantastic point where it's basically making Activision look like the worst kind of management of money there is. I mean, they did overspend for Activision. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, I just think they're getting far more with far less here. Activision, it's more the name that came with the price. It's the Call of Duty name, but the content for gamers, you'd be capping if you said the content gamers are getting from Activision today is like, I don't know, kind of platform changing to a degree for it when you analyze the price, because a lot of their price is made up of the total value of, I know, Candy Crush and all their subsidiary studios kind of I don't know how to explain it better. It's like a jumper's a jumper. It can be called Nike, or trainers are trainers. They can be called Nike or Puma, but if they're built the same material, and yet you spend far more on one, you're spending far more for the name, not the quality, right? And similarly, Activision, it costs far more for the name, not necessarily the quality. And of course, the huge collection of IPs. Lastly, and I'll shut up after this, the final thing that impressed me about this acquisition is Sony have done very little in terms of disturb the industry by snatching IPs away. Very little. Not only have they been far more clear than Phil Spencer. I don't know why I'm just randomly showing you my Twitter. Sorry, guys. I'm concentrating on what I'm saying. Not only have they been far more clear than Phil Spencer and said they completely intend to keep it multi-platform and independent as a studio, but they've only bought really Destiny.
Yep.
Not 30 IPs. You know. So that's another thing. They've been very unintrusive and respectful of the industry with this purchase. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Zubi.
Yeah. So I think is you have to look at the past and see what happened there. Like I'm really surprised that like Bungie sold, to be honest. That's the main thing for me, because you saw them split with Microsoft, split with Activision. So if you just go through their timeline, like the reason why they split is because they didn't have control over Halo. So that's the reason why they split from Microsoft. Like that was such a big moment. I think like to leave Microsoft and go on your own was such a big thing for Bungie, and then to obviously the creative freedom is that fault there as well, and then to have that again with Activision to shoehorn microtransactions and everything is well documented why they left both. So it's all on the internet. Like it's not surprising. Yeah. But to be sold to like Sony and then to agree to be sold that's for me surprising. So. Yeah, it's big in terms of that as well, like their history and who they've been with. Now they're partnering with Sony, so for me, it's like again, like each acquisition, like you said, Wooly, on the first podcast, I told you, like Sony go for talent, like
they don't go for IPs, they go for talent.
Yeah, we said on the last podcast, like they've only owned like. What 3-4 IPs, a handful of IPs, like it shows you they're not going for the IPs, they're going for the talent, and that's so crucial in my opinion. Like don't get it twisted. Like I'm saying it in terms of like there's talent everywhere, there's devs everywhere, but there's that world class level. Like you have to have that level of talent, and that's what Sony goes for. There's a reason why they bought Bungie, because they see it. And obviously you have like the technology and all sorts of that. Another thing people don't realize, like the technology is like the back end technology is so important. Like it takes years to make that and to perfect it, and that's another thing people don't realize. Like that to acquire that as well. Like it is the whole amount is in that the technology, the people, everything. So yeah, I'll let Akira take it.
Massive facts. Before Akira goes, shout out to Captain Thug Nasty. I was referencing him. I had his words in my head, but I couldn't remember the source of where I heard them from. And Captain Thug Nasty sent me a message saying, I told you this was going to happen. Sony made $1.36 billion purchase and made Microsoft's acquisitions look like the biggest... Yeah?
Sorry. Jez, maybe you can join us.
Yeah, Jez jump on. If Salty isn't streaming live, Jez, jump on. I don't want to poach from Salty's
Jez is like the Halo guy I heard so passionately about.
Yeah.
When we were talking before, so I would love to hear his thoughts.
Jez, yeah,
on
you're
this.
always welcome, man. But just before I send Jez the link, just read this. Sony made one $3.6 billion purchase and made Microsoft's acquisitions look like the biggest mismanagement of resources in the history of entertainment industry. And he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even spend, like a 20th of what Microsoft just spent?
Crazy.
And they've got 20 times more Microsoft spent to get Activision. And what have Xbox... What does that deliver besides a cash cow? Old IPs, yeah, great, fantastic. Will Microsoft use their resources to work to bring back old IPs? I freaking hope so. But there's that pull of the huge cash cow that is Call of Duty to also consider, and that's going to obviously sway them in one way or another. But
sorry, go ahead, Wooly.
Go on. I was just going to finish off and just say, but I mean, I'd argue Destiny has just as much mindshare, at least, or not as much, but it certainly has done. It's certainly the best example of a live service game kind of maintaining mindshare for a long period of time.
Zuby, you mentioned, and David mentioned, that this deal has been going on for a while now, right? Bungie and PlayStation.
Yeah.
And there's this interesting tweet from the lead producer on Horizon Zero Dawn, basically a guerrilla games developer, right? He posted a tweet saying, "So glad we can finally talk about this incredibly exciting thing." Developers at Guerrilla Games knew about it. And that kind of like cements what you said about the deal has been going on for a while now. If other PlayStation studios also know about it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way he said it is like it happened already. They just announced it today, though.
Yeah. Like I said to you before, like it's probably like the legal stuff is signed off. And that's why they're.
By the way, to all my TSGP boys, jump in. You're all more than welcome.
Yeah, bro, Jez, come on, man. I would love to hear.
Chris Righteous, Jez, whoever's part of TSGP, jump in. You're always welcome. Sorry, I'm just kind of multitasking right now, and I'm sorry I'm a bit slow with the chat. I'm also eating at the same time eating my dinner that my beautiful wife has kindly made for me. So, guys, I just had to jump on tonight straight away. It couldn't wait. So with that comes a bit of juggling around. So I apologise. Carry on, Zuby, bro.
Yeah, go ahead, Zuby.
What was I saying? Sorry, I lost my thought.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Jez, I really want to hear Jez's thoughts, man. Like, this man grew up with Halo, right? From what I understood.
Yeah, I'm gonna DM Saltiest Gaming Panel my
I keep on telling you guys, I am zero knowledge. You know, look at this. If we're talking about games from the East, I'm your guy, right? I'm really your guy about that. But Western developers, I don't have a lot of knowledge. Really, I don't have a lot. Even the bigger ones, right? Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Remedy, and all these other developers, I don't have a lot of knowledge about them. So it would be nice if I can get someone here who grew up with Bungie games, basically, right? Like Jez.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I mean, again, I'm gonna say it like this, right? 3.6 billion is Bungie, right? And I was Zuby, did you search how many developers Bungie has?
Yeah, it's over 1,000. Over 1,000.
Alright, so that's interesting because the CEO of Bungie, Pete Parsons, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
He made a tweet explaining what do you call this? Basically explaining the what SIE support means to them, right?
Yeah.
So apparently, Pete Parsons said in the tweet that with SIE support, the most immediate change you will see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. Bungie will remain creatively independent and multi-platform. Our goal is to build an inclusive studio where the world's most creative and talented people can come and do their best work, no matter who they are, where they are from, or how they identify. And thank you for talented people, community, for making Bungie who we are today and in the future. Help us put a dent in the universe. We are hiring across all disciplines. Join us, Starside. So, if they got over 1,000 developers, they want to add more than that. And SIE is kind of like gonna help them get more than that, basically, make them bigger, more manpower, basically.
Yep.
And this is interesting because we talk about how Sony manages their acquisitions and their deals, right? So 3.6 billion for Bungie, over 1,000 developers. Insomniac before, like we said, over $230 million or something, and they have. I said before that Sony acquisitions always feel strategically done, because even as a PlayStation fan, I can admit that the weakest link of PlayStation is multiplayer live service and first-person shooters. It's kind of like the weakest link, because those are the games that they don't really have a proper one. You know, after Killzone and Resistance, there anything else? SOCOM. Anything else? No, that's it, right?
Yeah. That's
So basically, they don't have a lot of variety. AJS, so they don't have a lot of variety, and I think
I just want to
Bungie fills those gaps. Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely. Bungie will indeed fill those gaps and give PlayStation the knowledge and experience they need in the FPS genre. Couldn't agree more, Akira. I want to just say shout out Chris and Jez and Link. Did you invite Link, Akira?
No. Wait. Who exactly is Link?
Oh, God.
You click on the link.
My boy Link decided to join the chat. But
hey, shit! I just joined. It's all good, brother. I just joined in.
Yeah, mate. I'm glad that you're here. Well, it's a hangout.
You know it?
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But
you know,
it's good to see you here. But shout out to Jez and Chris.
I come from the future.
Holy, you know each other?
I told you this on Saltiest podcast.
He did. What's going on with the echo?
In the cloud.
You know who also said it?
Leave me alone, Phil.
Hold on,
Jez
expected
on the gamers.
Really?
I told you.
I love
Bungie
Jez.
and Sony, a power couple.
You expected it?
Yes.
No, but you know who also
Why?
said? You know who also said it?
No, I was the one.
I remember it was Jez. No, I remember it was
Jez.
No, it was Jez. Was definitely one of those. Sick was also the other one too.
The humor. Okay.
Sick humor and stuff like that. But
Hey,
let me
I just want to say,
Jez goes, because I know Jez gonna go on a long
quick
rant.
time.
Go ahead, Willie.
No, I'm just here to say I told you so.
Jez, I freaking love this guy.
I'm Brian Zadamas from the future.
Hey, Link, brother, we'll be getting other people on.
Xbox still has no games
Jez.
from 2030.
Link, we're gonna have other people on in about 10-15 minutes, brother.
no
So
problem,
you have a short window, Link, to say your piece, and then if you could get the fuck out of it. I'm joking. No. But on a serious note, we'll be getting David Faulkner on, and we don't want it too many people on at once. But would love to have you here for 10-15 minutes, brother, if you're happy with that. But
that's cool.
Yeah. But Jez and Chris, TSGP, obviously you guys can stay.
Yeah.
But don't feel bad about that, Link. It's just
I
the balance of the panel and shit. But how did you, Link, Jez and Chris feel about this whole thing? And
we'll start with Link.
And Jez, you're absolutely right, mate. You told us so. You told us so.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just say my piece real quick. It looked like a good move for Sony. I mean, I didn't expect it. People will probably say this is a reaction to what Microsoft with the Activision thing, but I really don't think so, because these acquisitions usually are in works for a long time. So, but I mean, it looks like it's going to be good. It's going to bolster Sony as far as multiplayer games, games as a service. I don't know what new IPs they're working on, but obviously they're working on some other stuff. So yeah, I'm excited about it. You know, I'm not really a huge Destiny fan, but I'm excited about maybe what else they could be working on.
Big
You
facts.
played Halo before?
Oh yeah, of course, of course I played Halo.
Hey Link,
The
would you consider
3-1.
guesting on our podcast sometime soon if I reach out to you?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, always. Yeah.
I would love to have you on, brother. I do apologize about the small 10-15 minute
cool.
window.
No.
Feel free to stay on for a bit longer. But yeah, it's funny. Zuby Tech mentioned something similar. This is just, we know Jim Ryan, he stressed earlier on that it's only the beginning, that we should absolutely expect more acquisitions. What was it, but he said it with like such a kind of, we're just getting started kind of attitude, you know what I mean? Yeah, here we go. Here's the quote. Go on, Zuby.
No, I was gonna say I'll send it to you, but go on. It's there. You can read it.
And there's more to come, according to PlayStation and Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan. Ryan tells GameIndustry.biz that we should absolutely expect more PlayStation acquisitions. He continues, we are by no means done. With PlayStation, we have a long way to go. Elsewhere in the organization, we have many more moves to make. Place your bets.
I really think I think there will be of course, from the East. There'll be a lot of moves from the East. I believe it.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah. So, so basically, when I woke up to this news, I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not a huge Bungie. I mean, I played the first 3 Halos, of course, right? That was growing up in America at that time. Like, everybody was on Halo at that time. That was huge in America at that time, right? So yeah, of course, I had my fair share of Halo 1, 2, a little bit of 3. And then I played Destiny 1, the campaign, but I didn't do none of the end game stuff. And then I played a little bit of Destiny 2. I tried to get into Destiny 2 multiple times, and it really doesn't just pull me in. So it really doesn't do a whole lot for me in the type of games that I played from Bungie. But I understand why PlayStation did it. They needed a studio that's really good at making FPS, and who's better than Bungie, right? The original creators of Halo, now creators of a mega hit.
Halo.
Yeah, the better creators of Halo, now
Yes.
creator of another mega hit game, which is Destiny, right? Another online live service game, something that PlayStation has been lacking on that forefront. So, and that's part of PlayStation MO. They strategically try to go for developers who are like experts at their crafts, right, or the best at what they do in particularly. So, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, the only thing, to me, that when they talk about is multi-platform and they're going to be self-publishing and stuff like that, right? They're going to remain independent. At first, I was like, well, that's just the same thing was like Call of Duty or was like the Elder Scrolls Online, right? It already exists on the platform. Why would they take it off? Why would they not bring DLC and stuff like that, right? So to me, that's how I took it. But then Jim Ryan, he said a statement talk about it's not about pulling people into PlayStation or something like that. It was pretty much essentially what he said. It's pretty much the same shit Phil says whenever he acquires developers or publishers, and they still plan on their games making multi-platform and shit like that. So to me, it's like, damn, I get why, but at the same time, it's like, I hope PlayStation doesn't go the Microsoft route when they acquire developers or publishers and they're still on that. Well, they're just gonna still remain multi-platform. We just did it for for security of the IPs or anything like that. Because to me, it's like, nah, you're gonna want to level the studios up, which they will, but also create new and unique exclusive experience for just the PS5 only, and not have to worry about developing on the Series S and stuff like that to potentially limit the game design back and whatnot. So that's the only thing that I'm kind of like scratching my head about. Like because they keep mentioning is like it's independent and they're gonna be self-publishing and the Destiny games are still gonna be multi-plat, which I understand Destiny, right? It'll be stupid of them to take Destiny off, right? Off of PC or Xbox or anything like that. But they also make it seem like even their other games that they come out with as well. So to me, it's like, why wouldn't PlayStation just be like, all right, Destiny can remain multi-plat, but we want Bungie to create a unique IP specifically for PlayStation. So I hope that's the case. And I'm interested to see what comes of that. Like I said, I'm not too excited. Because I don't really play a lot of Bungie games like that, so I'm not gonna cap. I'm not gonna be like, "Well, I love Destiny," and start playing Destiny now and shit like that. No, but it's kind of interesting, man. It's kind of interesting seeing PlayStation say very similar things to what Microsoft is saying. Now, with this particular acquisition, the other acquisitions they haven't said nothing like this, but this particular one. So that lets me to believe whenever they do acquire another publisher, which I think there's a publisher that they are gonna acquire, whether it be Square Enix or Capcom or whatever, it's gonna be another one of those. They're still gonna do their own thing, and if Square Enix wants to make a game for the Switch, then they can make a game for the Switch or whatever. Because they have another subsidiary off of Sony Music Group, which is Aniplex, and Aniplex publishes multi-platform games on Xbox and PlayStation. So it's real interesting to see how all this turns out. But like what Jim Ryan said, this isn't the first time. They ain't stopping, right? There's going to be more of these. And, I can't wait to see what other studios they decide to acquire. I'm guessing, right? I don't have no inside knowledge or anything like that. But I'm guessing they're probably going to get Arc System Works, because that's been rumored out in public for a while, right? For fighting games. They're probably going to get, like I said, Square Enix is probably going to merge with Sony. But Square Enix is probably still going to be their own third-party thing. Is just under Sony. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to ask something. Azubi, do you know where Sucker Punch Studio is based at?
Yeah, too.
Washington. Seattle, Washington.
That means Bungie is also based there?
Yep.
Because, Sucker Punch Twitter account made a tweet that's saying, "Welcome to the PlayStation family, Bungie. We're right down the street. Do you think they'll let us install a zipline between our offices?" So they're just near each other.
Yeah.
Shout out to Book Roger in the chat. He puts, fact is, ponies aren't hyped for this buy. They're just happy to have something to rub back in the face of Xbox. Now, I imagine that's the case for some, or for many PlayStation fanboys, my dude. But, as I listed earlier, there are a lot of benefits to this, to Bungie having extremely close, intimate working relationship with other first-party studios.
Most sales from Destiny is from PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of Destiny.
They bonded with Destiny when they first came out. They really, as soon as Activision and Bungie pulled away from Microsoft, they went to Activision, and then Sony really capitalized trying to they had them on stage. I remember for the first time, Bungie on a Sony stage, and I was like, oh my god, that was a big deal. And they kind of associated the Destiny brand with the PlayStation when it first launched. But I think this is one thing I'm going to say about this thing is that I think this is something that everybody said Sony needed, and it makes sense. It's a strategic partnership. Now, when I predicted this a couple of weeks ago, I knew this was the move that Sony would do. I knew it because everybody's there saying they're buying EA, and they're not going to buy big publishers like Microsoft is going to. Sony's going to find exactly who they want to work with, what they need for their portfolio, and they're going to buy it. If you listen to Phil when he purchased stuff, Phil's like, I don't have any rhyme or reason. Like, I'm not trying to fill in a missing gap or anything, which they should, because if you look at what they're doing, they have so much redundancy. I don't even know which end is up. They got Doom, they have Call of Duty, they have Halo, they have Perfect Dark. And then they got Obsidian. Well, they make games like Bethesda, and they got it's just so much. And they're making a Fable, and it's just and we got Avowed. That's like a fantasy shooter, right? And then and there's Outer Worlds 2 too, which is like a bootleg version of basically Fallout. And it's just there's so much redundancy, you don't know which end is up. Sony needed a multiplayer studio.
So-
They needed a multiplayer first-person studio. They needed something like that, and they were using Call of Duty as the crutch of that stuff in the holiday, and they needed that game, and they got the only one bigger than that. I'm hitting the button. I didn't mean to hit that one that time. But the only one bigger than that is
hilarious.
Destiny, dude. It's a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer game that took on like the war zones, that could take on the war zones, and it's a strategic partnership. And I said they weren't. I didn't know if they were going to buy them or they were going to partner with.
I'm
them.
going to play this video right now, Jez. That this is you speaking, all right?
I just want to say, Destiny. From what I understood, right? There's a lot of Destiny players at PlayStation, right? I mean, I'm not one of them, but there's a lot, right? From what I understood.
Yeah, I have the stats right here. When I look, what is the one that I looked up? So, hold on, I got the stats between the share between the pie between all the different platforms. So it says,
go on.
So it's about 38.8 million players that play Destiny. It says PC takes the crown here with 39% of all players playing the game on Steam. PlayStation hosts the most players on console with a substantial 38% of the player base. That is Xbox consoles with 22% of the player base, and Stadia players make up the final 1%. So shout out to Stadia players holding on to that Destiny life on streaming.
I'm going to play quickly this clip. Watch this, guys.
Here's a prediction right here. We're talking about what Sony can do. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't know if they're going to buy them, but I think they're going to partner with Bungie on their next game. Destiny 3 or whatever like that. I think that's a counter.
Bungie's working on new
Did
IP.
you guys see the meme with Bungie and PlayStation? I'm sure you did.
I think that's where they're going next. That's a multiplayer game. That is a big community.
I see them going for
Bungie.
That's No Moon as well. Like that's No Moon is a crazy elite studio. That's quite. There you go. So Jez kind of, I don't know, he's a soothsayer. He predicts the future. He knows everything.
I had said Halo was going to be a service game 3 years ago and told I was a fearmonger.
Yeah. I want to hear Zuby. Right. So just to recap, guys, this is what we're going to try and focus on now. We're going to focus on what we know, what this means, and why this happens. We have a lot to cover. So what do we know about this Bungie acquisition? We know that, well, Zuby, do you want to give us the rundown, bro?
Yeah, so the acquisition price is 3.6 billion. The Destiny previous games will remain multi-platform. At the moment, Bungie have unannounced IP in the works, so I'm not sure if that's going to be on Xbox or if it's going to remain multi-platform. I'm not sure. Destiny Bungie's dev size is over 1,000. So it's a huge development team. They own lots of technology, like the back end stuff as well, like the engines, the how the live service games drive on different platforms. I think that's a key get for PlayStation. Like they can excel and tell like the other developers on how to do it. Like they've got a partnership with Deviation, Firewalk, and Haven. So I think that is you've seen in the past as well. Like Sony love to collaborate with different developers. They get together, they share knowledge. I think it's more of that as well. It's not just acquiring, but Bungie is more of like sharing that knowledge and sharing that talent.
Massive facts. Anyone else?
Yo, what up, Faulkner?
Folky's here. Get in.
I'm gonna have to jump up now. I gotta eat.
All right, Jez. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
man.
check out the Gaming Grindhouse tonight, 8:30 or 8:30 tonight, man. You guys gonna be around.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Thomas.
I'm out.
Yo, take care, bro.
Goodbye, Wizard. Goodbye, Wizard. That's for anyone in the UK. That's 1:30
Take care, Jez.
in the morning.
Thank you again.
Stay awesome, Jez. Much love, bro. Love that guy.
All right.
He's a wizard. He's a wizard, man. Mr. Faulkner, what's good?
All good, mate. How are you today?
I'm Bonza, mate. I'm Bonza. I'm good. You'll have to forgive me. I'm trying to very discreetly munch away my food, my dinner, whilst hosting this bad boy. So I apologise.
Well, fuck me. Didn't things take off last night?
Oh my days. I cannot get my head around it. For those who aren't
I go
aware,
to sleep.
Falky is Australian, in case you couldn't tell by his accent. And so it's really early in the morning where he is. He's crazy. So last night, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, last night is, to him, is tonight, to us, or today. Today? Is that how you say it? That was a really bad accent. Today.
Today. Okay.
Hearing Akira try an Australian accent is gold, I tell you.
David's also
Akira, say February in Australian.
How do you even say that? How do you do that?
We don't use February.
February.
You just leave the first R out of it. Come on, you don't need to use all the letters. It's, just leave the first R out of it. February.
It's February.
February.
Hey, good effort, bro.
Hey,
good effort. We love you, bro. We love you.
No joke.
It's just like when the British, they leave the T's out, right? Like when they say bottle of water
Exactly.
instead of bottle of water.
It's a bowl of water. It's a bowl of water in Australian.
Turtle, mate. Turtle's the best one.
Turtle.
Say turtle.
Or Sheila the turtle. Sheila the turtle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sheila.
Drinking from a bowl of water. Lovely. Beautiful. Right. Mr. Faulkner,
Yes.
our awesome dude. You saw this coming. I'm pretty sure you knew about this.
Which one?
Before.
I've seen a lot of comments in the last 3 days.
You and Zuby, you knew about this acquisition before it happened, admit it.
We had suspicions. I can't confirm either way.
Exactly.
Yeah, you keep that NDA.
But look, no joke. I went to bed about you got in 3 hours time for you guys, I think. But I went to bed about 1 o'clock this morning, Australia time. Everything was fine. Everything was peaceful. Looking forward to the 2nd of February. The state of play happening, like a 30-minute state of play happening an hour and a half before they do their earnings call. Bit unusual, but okay, I'll take it. Didn't think anything else was going to tee off because it would have done it already. Woke up this morning, holy shit, didn't things take off? Go to sleep for 4 hours and you bastards go and just tear the place apart.
Unbelievable. Dude, I just can't. Yeah, it's not. So, we were just covering, my dude. Sorry, carry on. You were going to say something.
No, I'm good. I was sorry about the shitty internet connection. I'm having that problem again. Thank you to Internet Broadband in Australia.
That costs a freaking fortune.
Job, you fucking idiots. It is early, and I'm only on my 4th coffee, so bear with me a little edgy.
What's with the Jeff Grubb? Is that a joke? Like, he's saying Destiny's Phil Spencer's favorite game? Is that true, or is that a joke?
Oh, I don't know.
It's true. No, it's true.
Who knows?
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay, so then Sony, PlayStation has the leverage over COD now. Hey, the moment you take Call of Duty off of PlayStation, we pulling away Destiny 3.
Yeah, there's a picture of him playing on his Surface tablet, playing Destiny.
Yeah. Actually,
that's hilarious.
It's a good leading to the point, mate. Chris, you were making the point before about them being independent, staying independent.
That's what one of the. But that's what the post said. Hold on. Let me find the developer that said that, one of the Destiny developers. But go ahead, continue as I find that. Because
that's cool. Because it was it was in the blog post press release as well. The first thing Jim Ryan said was that staying multi-plat, they're staying an independent developer. And I know a lot of people are probably it'll have a lot of people scratching their heads, but it's quite a smart move. As you've pointed out before, where everybody plays Destiny, it's across the board. They can stay independent, and it's probably what got the deal over the line. I don't know, I haven't seen the agreement, but I would dare say that if they're staying independent, it means that they wouldn't give up certain IP. But there's certain IP that they would have given up. Whatever the hell they're going to build in the future, Sony's probably going to fund it, and very likely Bungie have said, well, you fund it, you can own the IP, we build it, we stay independent, we come under PlayStation banner, all the backwards and forwards of negotiating. And I'm just stabbing at this based on what I can see and what I've heard. But if they stay independent, that's not a bad thing for PlayStation. What it means straight up is all the Bungie financial reports straight away become part of the Sony financial reports, right? So if the deal is done, guess what will likely show up tomorrow my time? Guess what will be in the reports tomorrow my time if the deal is finalised and signed off on? Sony's going to get a bump in their financial reports because they've now just going to include all the Bungie stuff straight in there. It's just a matter of adding it in. What does it mean going forward? PlayStation is likely going to be 1 or 2 year exclusive on all the Destiny 2 DLC or whatever Destiny 3 might be with the ace they have up their sleeve if they choose to do that. I don't think Destiny 3 is close. I think Destiny 3 is probably outside the 5-year window, mainly because look at Final Fantasy 14. That thing is how many years old and they're still smashing out additional stuff for that game. There's no need to build another one. Same with the Destiny world. They've built it, they've collapsed it, they've built it, they've collapsed it. Those two games are prime examples of what should be game as a service, right? Totally different genres. They're all online, but they're really great examples of how you handle a long-term game as a service. If you need to pivot and change, you don't have to build the thing from the ground up again, right? Or you don't have to do a third or a fourth iteration, because then you're asking people to rebuy into the tech effectively what would be the same thing just with a different skin. And they make so much money off the DLC and microtransactions across the whole lot. It just doesn't make sense to say, right, well, we're going to cut it off here, make a new one, and then it'll only be exclusive. That's just for Destiny, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Remaining independent works for both sides of the coin here. Sony doesn't have to assimilate or integrate all the Destiny senior management and all the other, I call it the corporate overhead dead wood. And I don't mean it in a bad way, that's just what it is. Because Destiny's also, Bungie's also publishing their own stuff, etc., they don't need to pull all that stuff in and lay off a heap of people. A lot of people are keeping their jobs just because Bungie are going to stay as an independent publisher. It gives them the freedom, but it also gives them that mighty backing of PlayStation, and it means that PlayStation can reach out and touch them with that production quality and can assist them with maintaining production quality. But it also means that PlayStation then gets to go, hey, those 2 out of those 3 IP that you're doing, they're going to be PlayStation exclusive for at least the first 2 years. And then once they've done that, like they do with PC, they'll release them to the other platforms at a minimal cost because they've got all the bugs worked out and they can do the ports easy. And then all of a sudden, bang, they get a bump in their revenue for a game that's 3 or 4 years old.
On top of
their rollout plan is...
Imagine Division 1 is a perfect example of a game that once its complete vision was realised, it kind of almost re-released as like the gold edition with everything. And people that sold like hotcakes, the final version, because it was this amazing complete package that for a relatively low price. So it's a great opportunity to double dip. But that whole multi-platform quote from Jim Ryan, where he in essence says that their projects going forward will also be multi-platform, that could just include PC and that's it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to Xbox.
Oh, you know what? And I thought about that too because of the whole quote. And this was from this quote right here is from Pete Parsons, who's the CEO of Bungie. He said when this new came out, he said, with SIE support, the most immediate change you will see is an acceleration in hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious vision. Bungie will remain creatively independent and multi-platform. Our goal is to build an inclusive studio where the world's most creative and talented people can come and do their best work, no matter who they are, or where they're from, or how they identify. think he's just giving Thankyou and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see like the next, like of course Destiny and all of the future Destiny content is gonna remain multi-platform, and Bungie will be able to publish their own Destiny content as multi-platforms going forward, right? But it's gonna be interesting to see if the next IP that comes out of Bungie, right, with a new IP, if that one's going to be multi-platform or PlayStation. The way they're making it seem here is like they're still going to be making multi-platform games, but I agree with David that like I think that they're just saying that mainly because of Destiny, but like if PlayStation is funding another IP coming out of Bungie, since it's a new IP, it doesn't have to be multi-platform because it hasn't made any money on multiple platforms like a Destiny, so it's just safer to make that more of like an exclusive and whatnot. So I think that's what's most likely going to happen.
That would be probably PC as well, day and date. I would.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say that I think that whatever Bungie's next game is, if it is a PS exclusive, I think that's going to be the first game that's part of a PlayStation first party studio that goes day and day on PC. I think that's going to be the very first one. And people are going to freak out and stuff like that, right? They're going to be like, see, I told you. But then the next PS Studios games, they're still going to be PS5 only day one after that. Yeah. So I can see that happening.
100%.
And that gives them that break to be able to actually do that. The fact that Bungie stays independent and whatever else is coming down the pipeline. Look at what Sony's structure is now. They've got PlayStation Studios core first in-house, then they've got the partnership group, and now they've got the independent group starting up. They've got all this other stuff coming down the pipeline in terms of their mergers and acquisitions. It's if Sony say PlayStation Studios games are never going day and date on PC, well, that's true because Bungie's not a PlayStation Studios exclusive. Bungie is publishing Bungie. Mm-hmm. It might not even have a PS Studios logo in the startup title. They are separate for that reason, but it's been a very consolidated in their financial performance.
Yeah, it's been a very non-invasive acquisition. I was saying that before you joined, Faulkner. That it.
I was listening. Yeah.
It's not been invasive at all. Unlike the Activision purchase, which because they're such a huge conglomerate of a publisher, Activision have a direct impact on so many external third-party studios and developers, whereas with Bungie, they're a bit like CD Projekt Red. They're kind of their own standalone entity, if you get me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's go on.
I was just going to say, just to piggyback off that, and a couple of people in the chat have been, again, they're asking for me to get. They're winding me up on purpose now after what happened on the weekend. I swear people are winding me up on purpose. There's the segregations there. It's going to be an easy assimilation into the company structure. People were banging on about, Activision purchase is going to do wonders for Microsoft and it's going to bring this, it's going to bring that. What we don't know is how is Microsoft going to convert that acquisition into return on investment. Because if everything goes day and date in Game Pass, they're effectively putting the match to $8 billion worth of revenue straight away. But they've acquired $7 billion worth of cost that they've now got to cover. So considering Xbox only generates $16.5 billion worth of revenue, being a record year for them in the last sort of decade, they've pretty much just chewed up half of their revenue with that acquisition, funding the cost of that acquisition for Activision, right? So if they're going to burn $8 billion worth of revenue with that, that's their piece. They've got a completely different business model.
Hello, Faulkner?
To what Sony just did to that revenue. Hello?
Could you repeat the last 10 seconds, bro?
Yeah, you broke up a little bit.
So... Sorry, internet. The Activision, you there?
Yeah, we're here, bro. We can hear you.
Hello.
Sorry. Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, guys. So Microsoft buy Activision and they put it all in Game Pass. Going forward, they're going to torch $8 billion worth of revenue and turn it into something like maybe $500 million or $1 billion, right? But they've taken on $7.5 billion worth of cost and growing. They only make $16 billion in revenue. Where's that? Where's the return on investment there? They're talking 10 years down the track at least. Yeah. With the Bungie acquisition for PlayStation, and they're coming in as an independent, they're standing on their own 2 feet, so they're sustainable in their own right, and they're not turfing anyone out, which I think is a major, major point that no one talks about. Bungie is not going to lose any staff from this acquisition. Activision will, it's a given. Bungie won't, and they're about to start hiring like crazy to up them from about 1,000. I think the target's 1,600, something stupid like they're going for like an over 50% increase in their staffing. What it does mean, though, is PlayStation is not going to lose a single cent of that revenue stream from Bungie. By not changing anything from the second that they're in there, they are not losing that revenue stream. And that is quite important. That's a very important point to make. And that sets the tone for all their other acquisitions going forward. If they're just a dev house that's been working support, or they're a dev house that's been doing other work like Firesprite and Valkyrie and that, they get brought in, they're 90% cost because they're not publishing anything. So they're not getting, their revenue comes from contract payments, right? Mm-hmm. Sony brings them in, the assimilation is easy. Someone like CD Projekt Red, who publish their own stuff, or someone like, who's the other publishing one that they were looking at? Can't remember their name now. Oh, Square and Capcom and those ones that do their own publishing as well. Same deal. Sony's now laid the foundation on how they're going to bring them in, how it's going to look. This is the framework. So to then, it then allows you to say, well, how easy would it be for such and such, if they agree to be acquired, to come into the fold on PlayStation? How would it look? And this gives you a great illustration of what they're likely going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Big facts. Zuby, do you have anything to add to that, brother? Or before we cover the next question?
Not really. David does such a good job. It's not
really does.
Much he's brilliant. Like everything he says is like spot on.
Bro, David is when he sets up his own show. I'm gonna be sitting down with David and helping him over Discord stream set up his own thing. I'm also currently, David, between you and me, brother, between everyone, I've got a little surprise for you. I'm working on a backdrop for your show, but I'm not quite sure. I need to talk with you about how you exactly want it. Like, are you gonna have your face on a camera or stuff like that? But all I know is when your show launches, bro, it's gonna absolutely explode. I have absolutely no doubt about that. People enjoy what you say, and I
appreciate the kind words, mate. Completely off topic. Well, it's not off topic because it's on topic about the shit about Sony being broke and Sony being poor and Sony can't compete, blah blah blah, on the weekend.
There you go.
For anybody who's listening, watching, that saw the exchange that I had with somebody else on Twitter, not the original person that I corrected, the other person who decided to carry on like a pork chop. I'm not a vicious person, and I don't engage in these conversations with any malice. But if you're going to make a statement, I expect you to be able to provide something to support it, not because I'm trying to disprove you, but because I'm trying to learn. I know a lot, and I speak a lot, and I'm highly educated in a lot of this stuff. But that doesn't mean that I've closed my mind off to wanting to learn more.
That's what these dudes do, Faulkner.
I mean, I can testify that I can literally preach that in our group chat that Faulkner and Zuby Tech and Akira are in. Faulkner educates a lot and shares a lot that we all learn from, and I certainly learn a shit ton from. But he also learns too from like Akira, from DZ, shout out to him, from Zuby Tech. Like, Faulkner regularly and shout out to HD Gamer as well in the chat. He's part of this group as well, and he regularly learns things that he didn't know prior. And his strength is in financials and analytical, and he has a good knowledge of people. But there's still more things that David enjoys learning. So I don't mean to speak for you, David, but I can fully back you up on that. You're teachable.
It's just. Yeah, I'm open-minded. Look, if I engage with someone, I'm not there to try and bully you, beat you, carry on and prove that you're an idiot. I'm genuinely doing it because you're saying something, I disagree with it. Let's have a discussion about it and work out if there's an issue somewhere. But, the ending result of that, I felt was a really good engagement. The person went and deleted all their tweets, and all of a sudden they've taken away an opportunity. I was quite disappointed in that because that was a brilliant exchange. Like, that was fun for me. And I know it sounds weird, but I had a lot of fun doing that.
I want to ask something, actually. Because, you're the numbers guy. Was the acquisition... did they overpay, or they paid just right, or they had a good deal? What do you think?
Well, Bungie's not a publicly traded company, so you don't really know what their market cap is, but I would say that they paid what they felt was fair to get the deal that they've got. Now, when you think about Sony's probably funding 3 new IPs and potentially 2 DLC exclusives for Destiny after the Winter Witch is out. They're, $3.6 billion for something that's generating a shitload of money. I think the price would have been based on what their company is worth right now. Not this, EA's worth $37 billion market cap, but it's got $14 billion worth of assets. So, Sony's probably just gone and said, right, well, this is what your assets are worth. Here's what we'll do to pay you guys out and acquire this stuff, and you guys can remain independent. So we're going to take a bit off the top there. So $3.6 billion to get Bungie. What's the market impact that has? What's the public impact perception that it has? What's the marketability of this thing? So I think it's about the mark. I probably wouldn't have seen them pay more than 3 initially, but clearly there's some factoring in there of, $3.6 billion allows you guys to go out and recruit right now, as opposed to we pay $3 billion and then stump up $500 million in 12 months to start recruiting. Whatever they got in the pipeline, Sony wants it. They want it quick.
Yeah, like he said, the CEO, they're going to accelerate their plans, so clearly there's something more there. So 100%, we can't just take it at face value. There's a lot of unannounced stuff, so...
Yeah. Big things, fam. It's pretty. This is a potent thing, and I want to get your thoughts on this. On PlayStation's blog, they put PlayStation wrote, Bungie's world-class expertise in multi-platform development and live game services will help us deliver on our vision of expanding PlayStation to hundreds of millions of gamers. So people will read that. I would read that and think, well, is this saying that Sony are planning on going fully multi-platform, like PC, day and date?
To me, it means the next the cloud services are coming. So like PlayStation Now's revamp.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very true.
What if you were launching a revamp of a cloud service? Now, look, let's be honest. Sony doesn't have to compete with Game Pass, and they're not trying to compete with Game Pass. What this new service, live service, subscription service, whatever you want to call it, Sony's entering a marketplace where they need to be present. They don't need to dominate it, and they never have. but they need to be present in that space for various different reasons. The way that I am led to believe that their subscription service is going to work is it's not going to focus on day and date big AAA bangers. It's going to focus more on legacy is probably a better way of putting it. So they've got, this, if you believe the tiered rumors and all the rest of that stuff, I don't really see Sony doing that. It'll be more like a bolt-on. You've got a core service, and then you add on anime, or you add on streaming, or you add on PS Now, or you add on these different things. Instead of it being tiered, it's customized. But it'll be more, I suspect it'll be more of your base PS Plus gets you those couple of games every month, and it gets you your multiplayer and your discounts. And then you can add on, can bolt on Crunchyroll or Funimation or whatever you want, or you can bolt on something that gets you Sony movies, or you can bolt on something that gets you manga or music or whatever they choose to do. You might even get an Apple TV bolt-in or whatever you want to go with that. There's also likely that you'll get a bolt-on that goes, all right, well, here is the legacy games for PlayStation, PS1, PS2, PS3 games, and then here is a bolt-on that allows you to do, your multiplayer tournament stuff. So you can partake in the fighter tournaments or the sports tournaments or whatever it is. As long as PlayStation is able to maintain that kind of flexibility, instead of it having it tiered, like you've got to have your base and then your base plus this and then plus this and plus. It allows more flexibility than what anyone else is providing, and that'll be the difference. You can customize what you want.
Makes sense. It's just the way he said that they specialize in multi-platform, and not exactly cloud gaming. So it kind of, I don't know. To me, it makes no sense, the whole day and date on PC, purely by the fact that they double dipping is working very, very extremely well for them.
That's what I was talking about earlier. Remember when I was talking about, he said, like, what he said sounded like the shit like Phil Spencer is saying, and that's when I was like, wait, what? Like, and how I took it was like, they're saying the same thing as Microsoft, where we're trying to reach to hundreds of millions of players. So then, what's the way to do that is for multi-platform games and stuff like that. So I could see people reading into that. And
the only difference is Jim has yet to prove himself like Phil Spencer. He said he might say similar things, PR talk, business talk, but so far, PlayStation games are not day and date on PC. Right. So far, PlayStation games are not day one on a subscription service.
The only time you've seen it is Arcade Gone and Death Stranding, like not day and date, but Death Stranding was like 6 or 8 months. But those are all second party deals. So I think Sony sees Bungie in the same way, like a second party, but obviously in the fold of PlayStation.
Makes a lot of sense, that, and they get all the benefits. It means huge benefits for Bungie as well as PlayStation, this deal. So what does this exactly mean for Bungie? Could we summarize that? Could we kind of anybody have any thoughts on that, on what this actually means for Bungie and PlayStation?
I'll jump in quick because I'm going to have to go in a minute. In summary, it's great both ways. It gives Bungie the money and the support that they need to accelerate these plans. One of those new IP have been sitting there for 3+ years trying to get it off the ground. And this will allow them to power ahead under their own steam, which is what they've always wanted. And it gives PlayStation access to one of the leading online multiplayer franchises that they really need to maintain as part of their offering. And especially given Call of Duty is likely going to drop off in a couple of years. Does this plug that hole? Not necessarily, but it stops one from disappearing off their store.
Yeah, that's a big fact, right? I want
to say, right?
Go on, Akira.
I am really baffled, right, by the amount of people surprised that Sony was able to do this, because they genuinely believe that Sony is broke because they are under $2 trillion debt, even though it's actually yen, but Destin is too dumb for that shit. And his followers are also too dumb for that shit.
Yeah.
But honestly, guys, like I'm sure David knows this. Like, these statements are made at the financial reports. These are investors you cannot lie to. They've said at the time we will spend 18 billion on acquisitions. Yes, the amount was in yen, but if you convert it comes to 18 billion. Like, why are you surprised? Like,
this is like this is something, right?
The reason is why they're surprised, Akira and Zuby, is because you have people like Destin telling them otherwise. and
it's supposed to be like this, right?
Man.
It's supposed to be like this.
Misinformation.
It's supposed to be common knowledge that all companies are under debt but can still spend money on stuff, right? They can still invest despite of being under debt. And the other thing is, the other thing is, I remember this. I think it was Paul Tassi who basically said, Sony cannot afford Bungie. Also believing the same bullshit that Sony is broke, which is why, they make these people dumber than they already. Yeah.
Exposes these people for not knowing the shit that they're talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Like they said aggressively, like this is aggressive, and they've said inorganic from the job listings. It's all there from everyone to see. Like, you shouldn't be surprised. Like, anyone says,
Zuby, you've been sharing every update now since all this was said, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, by Herman Hulst, and since that day, you've shared every single bit of dialogue and interview and update, clearly showing what Sony's plan is. And the problem is, guys, is I used this illustration the other day, right? Sorry, no, I'll tell you what, I'll shut up. Zuby, carry on, and then I'll continue after. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like I said, when these CEOs talk, you have to listen to what they say and how they say it. Mm-hmm. And like Sony have said this, like the CFO who's in charge of the financials, Hiroki Totoki, he said we will aggressively invest. Like, I was watching the webcast live, and he said it there and then. And then he said the amount, like, we will use 18, he said it in yen, but $18 billion we will spend in the next 2 to 3 year plan. So the acquisitions are going to happen. There's more on the way. Like, I'm sorry, like, if you see someone else purchased, I'm not going to say who, but if you see someone else purchased, don't be surprised. Simple as that. Like, Sony
what are you telling us?
Oh, sorry,
that's all I'll say.
No, I was gonna say real quick. What do y'all think about this statement right here? This is from Jim Ryan, right?
Hold on, Chris. Can David say his piece?
Yeah, go ahead,
finish first, because I know Zuby's got limited time, and I know David's got limited time. Yeah. Sorry, carry on, guys.
No, sorry, all good. The $18 billion was stated was for acquisitions for Sony, not just PlayStation, for Sony, right? Now, at CES, we got to see a snapshot of what they're going to invest in. So Sony's investing in, PlayStation's investing in PSVR 2. So they got that set up there that they're funding, but that's pretty cheap. I've covered that already. Sony's getting into the mobility. So there's some seed money that's needed to set up building those cars and manufacturing those cars, but they've got partners coming in to help with that.
Yep.
So that's not going to chew up a lot of money. They've got the TSCM and the microchips and semiconductors and all that sort of crap that they're getting involved in. But again, there's partners involved in that. Sony's basically buying the land and building the shed and providing the production line technology. And that's all seed money as well. But so they're getting involved in that. But we're not talking about hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to get these things going. They're getting that semiconductor shed up and running for less than $1.4 billion from an empty field to a running facility. So Sony are extremely savvy with where they put their money and how they invest their money. But for these people who can't even read past the second line of a Google search and actually take the time to read the freaking things and understand that they're so far wrong and incorrect, it's not funny. To then sprout it and say that this is gospel, listen to me, they are in trouble, they can't do it, without even looking at the financial statements, which are publicly filed or publicly presented and must be filed not just with their own fucking government, but with the SEC in America under the same rules and regulations that Microsoft and NetEase and freaking all Apple and all the rest of them have to work with. The fact that they get up there and sprout that bullshit without even providing a single shred of evidence or doing any fucking research, to me, it just not just discredits them, it discredits their entire fucking organisation. I can't understand how IGN can stand there behind Destin and say he is the best person for being our leadership team because what he speaks is absolute truth. The guy couldn't fucking work out left shoe and right shoe half the time from the shit that he speaks, but then expects people to say, oh, you can't say what I say personally on my channels as a representation of the company that I work for. If I made a misrepresentation on Twitter about anything and my company decided that that was in poor light and poor taste to the company I work for, I'd have my ass thrown out the fucking door in seconds. Sorry for the rant.
No, you're absolutely right. There is such a huge level of unprofessionalism from these guys that I'm surprised their asses aren't dragged to court for
Willie, they spread misinformation. Like that's a fact. Like how can you lie about this stuff? Like David just said, anyone can see it. Like and these CEOs make statements. So like, why are you fooling yourself?
So I received a message from Lex DeFox, shout out to him on Twitter, and he said the devil's in the details, and he sent me just this picture. And they are fully independent and have full creative control and publishing independence of the Destiny universe specifically.
Yep.
And so that doesn't include other IPs that they create.
Yeah, I'll get correct, but exactly. But as I said before, what that means is everything they do will be included in the Sony financial statements, and they have to now, even though they're independent, published and all the rest of it, they still have to get approval up the chain.
David? Hello? David's gone. His internet failed on him. But this kind of what David was saying made me think of and what you said also, Zuby, is that you're not going to say who, but if we see more publishers acquired, don't be surprised. Sony still has 15 billion remaining of pocket money.
Yeah, like they've got money. Like there's no way around it. Like they're gonna spend that money.
Yeah.
Like that money is just for aggressive investments. I mean, that money will be spent. There's loads more left.
Yeah.
And even
they can get loans.
And that 18 billion is purely for big acquisitions. So it's not all the money they've got. That's.
I mean, what's baffling about this? Like, people really expected Sony to just lay down and die after the Activision acquisition. Like, I'm sorry, man. I've been saying this shit for over a year now, I believe, Wooly. I've been saying for over a year that there's a content war, and it's happening. And after the acquisition of Activision, the content war just reached boiling point. It actually, the content war already escalated ever since the Bethesda acquisition. It already escalated.
Yeah,
but
to be honest, Kara, sorry to interrupt. Like,
sorry.
Yeah, Sony didn't react to Activision Blizzard. This was before, ongoing before. So in case is Microsoft reacted to Sony.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But my point is,
Guapzilla, he's going to share David's rant to promote this live stream. Thanks.
My point is this, right? My point is this. As sad as it is, and as much as people don't like it, right? There is an inevitable acquisition war, and Microsoft been making the extremely big purchases, right? I think this is the first big enough purchase that Sony made that you can call big, right? In terms of size, over 1,000 developers, $3.6 billion, right?
It's the first publisher, isn't it?
Is Bungie considered a publisher?
Yeah,
well, they have a CEO.
They self-publish.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, after they stopped their publishing deal with Activision, they went independent and started publishing their own.
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. So my point is like this, right? I know people, they hate consolidation and they hate all this shit and all companies buying this shit and that shit. But you can't expect other companies to just lay down and die while one of the bigger ones is just on a rampage to buy everything. You know what I mean? If, there is a content war, and of course other companies will respond because they want to secure content for themselves. Mm-hmm. And, I'm going to apologize, but it's going to keep happening. You know what? Even this Activision thing, that's not Microsoft's last one. People who believe that that's Microsoft's last, nah, man. No. That's not the last one.
Facts.
You know why it's not the last one? Because they can still afford more. Not really more. They can afford anybody. They can afford everybody if they wanted to. This is a thing, man. This is a thing. If let's just say there is a way to hostile takeover and don't need to make proper deals with anybody. Microsoft could have bought the whole game industry. They can absolutely do it. They have enough money to fucking do it. Right? So the fact that people will be saying that, I hate that this is happening and all that, I completely understand. However, we keep on seeing Sony or NetEase or Tencent, wherever the fuck responds to the content war. Well, it's because the content war already started a long time ago and they want to secure content. And this is not for consoles, by the way. They secured content for their own ecosystems. It's the ecosystem now. We're not talking about consoles strictly. We're talking about the PlayStation ecosystem. The Sony ecosystem and the Microsoft ecosystem, right? This is like bigger than consoles now. This is kind of like how I see it. The content war happened because it's going beyond that. Even Jim Ryan said in this interview, he wants to go beyond that. They want more numbers, more and shit. That's why the thing, the notion that some of these entities, for example, consoles are going to be done or discontinued early. No, it still makes a lot of money, right? It's just a supporting, entity for their ecosystem. If you're building an ecosystem, you don't really need to remove anything from the ecosystem until it does not make you anything anymore.
But
right now, you're still making a lot. Go ahead.
I want to hear Zuby and Faulkner's take and Chris's as well. If Sony were to buy Konami, Square Enix, Capcom, and Sega, that's you're looking at a little over 16 billion there. But even if you took Square Enix out and they just stayed partners with Square, and Konami, Capcom, Sega, and throw in Kojima for good measure, Kojima Productions, they could acquire all of them for under 14 billion. What I'm saying here is there are big names in the industry that don't cost that much. And what you said, Akira, you're absolutely right. Is that there is a huge content war happening, and an acquisition war has now started too. But guys, like the Unknown said in the chat, Microsoft pulled the trigger with Bethesda. It was what they showed the industry was what they told the competition was there is no IP too big that they will not try and buy if they want it on their console exclusively.
Call of Duty is
I know Call of Duty is the biggest, but I'm saying it started with Bethesda. People are saying this wasn't in response to Activision. This has been going for 5 to 6 months now, this deal. So Sony are scum. Sony had this had this planned all along. It's not a reaction. Are you forgetting what happened 2 years ago? With what Microsoft did 2 years ago? It was Bethesda that started this, not Activision. They doubled down, more than doubled down. They quadrupled down with Activision. They took the shit that they pulled 2 years ago and they amped it up to level 9,000 with Activision. And they said, we won't just go for the big IPs, we'll go for the biggest. So
wait, Bethesda was 2 years already?
Yeah, about
it was
that.
the launch of
Put it this way, Akira.
No, it's 2 years in September, I think.
Akira, put it this way. The Bethesda acquisition was the first video I made on my YouTube channel. I was on a train and I just had to voice my opinion about it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
2 years? What the hell?
But you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is that Destiny, sorry, I keep calling them Destiny, Bungie were offered a buy by Microsoft, weren't they? Am I right, Zuby, about that?
Yeah, they were.
When did Zuby Zuby approach them? When did Microsoft approach them?
So I can't remember the exact date. Maybe David knows.
Which time?
Yeah,
the most
David
recent or the
maybe.
first one?
Yeah.
The most recent time, David.
Yeah,
I believe the most recent one I know of was they were having conversations, like as in Phil Spencer was in their offices about February last year.
Yep. And they shut shit down when
there was a rumor.
Yeah, go on, Akira.
Yeah. No, I kept saying that the reason why I thought Bungie was not for sale because the CEO personally shut down rumors 3 times about Microsoft acquiring them.
Yeah.
That's why I thought, you know what, Bungie's not for sale after all because,
that's right.
Microsoft.
Well, what that tells me is Bungie didn't want just a shitload of money thrown at them. They wanted the best conditions to achieve their vision, their creative visions. Carry on, Zuby.
Well, that's what the CEO said, in this tweet. Yeah. That's what the CEO said.
I need to jump in because I got like 3 minutes and I got to go.
Yeah.
But this is a great lead into the response or my thoughts on what Akira was saying before. It is a content war, but it's not. It's a bit more than that. It's not securing the content; it's securing the IPs. It's whoever owns the IPs. That's goal number one. They've got to own the IPs. Having third-party deals and all that's great, but it's going to be an arms race of who owns what IPs and then being able to maximize on those IPs. Now, what Microsoft is doing is it can't build its own IPs, so it's got to buy its IPs. That's what they're doing to try and fill their service. Sony knows how to build IPs, but they can't build them fast enough to get the churn out that they need at the quality levels they need.
Big facts.
Sony's, I call it their saturation point. Microsoft's saturation point for Game Pass is they must do at least one new one a week in that service. Sony's business model means their saturation point is maybe 8 games a year, but you think about Sony having to pump out 8 God of War or Horizon Forbidden West quality level AAA games every year. They need to fill the rest of their offering with high quality AA games and independent games and whatnot. So Sony needs manpower, but they still need to secure their legacy IPs. They can't afford to lose the ability to make a Silent Hill if they want to, or to make a Final Fantasy game if they want to, or to make Ratchet. What's the other main one they've got?
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Oh,
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
They cannot afford to lose. Yeah, they can't afford to lose that legacy IP. So that's why they're focusing on getting these particular ones, and that's why you all hear the rumors about these particular things. How does that impact going forward? Well, Sony's got to go and spend money wisely on making sure they get what they need, not getting whatever they want, what has to come with it. So the content war is a lot. Yeah, the content war is a lot deeper than just we need to secure content. It's they need to secure IP. So that leads on to, like Akira was saying, you're going to get all these additional acquisitions, and how do they look and what do they feel like? And it's not just for the console. Great example is PlayStation they call them a walled garden, right? PlayStation want you to come into their walled garden into the PSN store. They don't give a fuck what you play it on. They just want you to come into their walled garden. At the moment, the main point of that walled garden is to drive sales of their hardware. That's what they're always going to want to do. Xbox is different, Tencent's different, NetEase, everybody's different in what they want. But PlayStation's walled garden is that console is the main driver. It's no different to what Apple does with their iPhones and their tablets. Apple's walled garden for them is their iCloud is the back end of it, but it's their access point is their phone or their computer. PlayStation's is their console. PlayStation may very well branch out and do something else. But at this point in time, PlayStation don't give a fuck what you do anywhere else. They want you to be invested in their walled garden, and that's where they'll make their money. Now, Destiny sells, fucking millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff. And currently, PlayStation just takes a 30% cut when it comes out of the PSN store. What's going to happen now is when it fills back through the other way, the 70% that they weren't getting is all of a sudden going to show up in their financial performance. So it's a really smart structure for them. All they want is for you to be involved in that walled garden. They don't care anything else. Now, yes, Microsoft can go out and buy whoever the fuck they want. Apple can buy whoever the fuck they want. Sony's probably going to tap out on an individual buyout of about $120 billion. That's probably where they would tap out and go, well, that's going to get us to our limit. But once they've completed that deal, their purchasing power and their lending power is going to increase again. But it doesn't make sense for Sony to do that because they don't need IP. They need manpower. What is Bungie going to do with the money they just got given? They're going to bring in manpower. Manpower, women power. Labor is their issue. But Sony's got a catalogue of IPs, and Zuby can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Sony's back catalogue of IPs that they have access to, not necessarily owning, but have access to, is phenomenally longer than what anyone else has got, with probably Nintendo being the only exception.
Definitely.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry to have to bolt on that one, but I've got to go, lads.
Thank you, brother.
I'll catch up with you later, hey?
You guys can follow Faulkner at Folky87 on Twitter. Yep. Faulkner, thank you so much, brother. We appreciate you so much, and
no worries.
Catch you soon.
Enjoy your February. Is that you say? Enjoy your
February, mate. We're all good. February, mate.
Good night, mate.
See you, lads.
Toodles. To our brother. Toodles, as he says. Carry on, Zuby, bro.
It's just like to finish off the point I was gonna say. First of all, you're 100% right, Wooly. And Akira and David and Chris, you're all right. I totally agree with all of you. You can't expect a company to spend 8.1 billion and then sit down and not do nothing. The competitor's gonna get aggressive, and rightly so. Why should Sony sit down and not do anything and let the competition walk all out on them? And like Phil Spencer, the one thing I didn't like about him, what he said recently was that Meta's his competitors and all that, and he said Alphabet. There's I don't want them to come in. I'm sorry to say, but they haven't even made a dent into this industry. In terms of the console space, none of them have entered. Not even Google. Stadia's dead. Come on, and he's in direct competition with PlayStation. I'm sorry, you don't spend 70 billion on Activision and announce it.
I guarantee it, Zuby. Xbox are gonna try and get Take-Two. Guarantee it.
Yeah, they would. 100% sure they would go for Take-Two or someone else or whoever they've got lined up. 100%. And Akira's right as well. It's like a content war. It is, and the acquisitions won't stop. Simple as that. And it's only a problem when Sony do it. That's what I've been reading today as well. It's only a problem when Sony do it. But when you spend 70 billion, is not a problem. When you take Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, is not a problem. So you like I said last time, you have to be fair. Like if you're gonna do that and play that game and spend billions of dollars, don't when it happens on the other side, have the same energy.
Big facts, especially considering that those actions that Microsoft did started all of this with Bethesda. Carry on, sorry, Akira.
No, I mean, this is the thing, man. Like, I got this. You know, I said something a while ago. No, when was that? I think I said it last week. That I said on my Twitter that I was getting tired of the acquisition talk because, you know, it's been 2 weeks and we're still talking about the same bullshit. And now we're talking about what Xbox is going to acquire next. And the most that I've seen is Sega and Square Enix
to buy publishers.
Sega and Square Enix by Microsoft, by people who clearly who knows nothing about both companies but their IPs. And you know, that was clearly annoying to me, right? And I was saying that, you know, I'm tired of the acquisition talk. You know, you say bullshit like this, I'm gonna block you, and I did. I blocked a lot of people, and then one of them is kind of like a close friend of mine, so I did not block this person, but basically I was being called out for making one tweet about the Sony acquiring Bungie because I thought you didn't want acquisition talk. Bro, it's one tweet. It's just, you know, they're coming after me after that because I said I want to talk about acquisition, and they want to make it like, yeah, you don't want to talk about Xbox. Dude, I talked about Xbox acquisition more than I did the Sony acquisition. And it's kind of like, I was just really tired about it. And again, you know, I keep the same energy, right? Like, I kept the same energy for fucking Activision, and I've just really kept the same energy for Bungie. I already said up front, I don't play Destiny. I know nothing about Bungie. This acquisition is not really special to me, and you will not catch me playing Destiny all of a sudden because Sony acquired them. This is not how this shit works. I'm not a bandwagon. I don't do that shit. I play games because I want to play them. So what I said is simply this, you know? You know, for example, whatever Bungie makes next looks interesting to me, then maybe I would try it out. If it's not, then I'm still not going to try it out because, you know, there are games that I just don't play, even if they're PlayStation exclusives. And it's kind of like, that's what I meant by keeping the same energy, you know? I kept the same energy. Microsoft did this because we're in a fucking content war, even though it's a grand fucking move. It's Call of Duty and StarCraft, Warcraft, and all these big IPs, Overwatch and Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and all these big IPs. And we didn't, you know, not even done yet if we included Bethesda's IPs.
And the thing
we're not even done yet if we talk about...
This is so different from what Sony have just done because they haven't bought shitloads of IPs. They've just bought talent. And only we're not.
But we're not even. We're not even done yet. We talk about they got 32 studios right now, and not only about 32 studios, they also have a lot of manpower along with those studios. So they bought a shit ton of IPs, a shit ton of studios, and a shit ton of people. And again, I kept the same energy because, you know what? No matter how fucking big it is a content war. But then, do not expect that other companies will just sit down, lay there, and die while Microsoft buys more. I don't think it's not how this competition works. And, you know, you start with grand competition, and you're going to get grand competition. And unfortunately, that grand competition is going to mean a lot of these corporations will buy all these IPs.
What Masha says in the chat, Masha, shout out to him. He says Activision Blizzard doubled Xbox's manpower. That's very true, Masha. But look at the trend of the games that Xbox tend to put out. Look at Gears. Has it evolved over the years?
Sorry, Wooly, but whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That's Microsoft's fault.
Facts. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You can't use that as an excuse. Oh,
there's also what I'm going to say, right?
Their own fault. That's their own fault.
Sorry, there's also what I'm going to say, right? Again, I can understand. I don't know. Some people see Xbox buying a Japanese publisher is such a grand move because they need JRPGs, right? It's kind of like the main consensus about this thing. And you know what? I understand the point of argument, but at the same time, they also don't know what they're completely saying because, again, Sega was the most requested Xbox purchase without even knowing anything about the damn company. They only know Yakuza and Persona and all these other IPs that Sega has, but they don't know Sega itself, the company. They don't know Sammy Sega. They don't know what fucking Sega means even. They just... What I'm trying to say is they don't care about the company itself. They just want the fucking IPs. These people wishing for Sega to get bought. And if you start thinking that way, technically you are also kind of killing that company because you don't care about them. You don't care about them. You don't care about their people. You don't really know anything about them. You don't know who owns them. You don't know what they do. You only know their IPs. That's kind of like all you know, and that's why you want Microsoft to buy them. Not knowing that Sega, the gaming division, is owned by Sammy Sega, which is one of the biggest companies in Japan that is very, 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 very important to its economy. And they got they make restaurants, they make hotels, they make pachinko machines, they make arcades, they make all this type of stuff. They make amusement parks. They do more than fucking gaming. The only way for Sega to get purchased is if Sega is willing to let go of their gaming division, which has been profitable for them. So I also don't understand why they would do that in the first place.
I just want to shout out Mash's point when he said Activision doubled Xbox's manpower. But what you've got to remember, Masha, is the model that Xbox are pursuing. Remember what Matt Booty, that useless potato, said? I'm sorry, right, but that absolute donut, right? You said you want donuts. Shout out to Buck Roger. He wants some donuts. Well, you got Matt Booty, Buck. Matt Booty, that donut, all he wants is these small, bite-sized experiences perfect for a subscription service. So all that manpower is going to be focusing on is either a lack of innovation and just continuing to reuse the formula to quickly churn out content for a subscription service. Look at Forza Horizon, right? Look at Halo. I know that took years, but that's due to the disastrous management of the studio, not the vision, right? Not the lack of vision. Look at how they look at Gears. There's a lack of evolution there, right, among these games, and that's not a subscription service's fault. I mean, Gears was out way. Gears 5 was out way. Was Gears 5 out before Game Pass, or was it released after Game Pass? Either way, they tend to rely on the same tropes, rely on what works, because they're a business. They have business minds at the top. They don't have game focused culture running the business, right? So they chase trends, they chase tropes, they continue to reuse what works until, for whatever reason, it's just not viable anymore. And you can see that Forza Horizon 5 is just a reskin of 4. No new content really, just a different world. Gears 5, a reskin of Gears 4, 3, 2 and 1. There's not much difference in terms of mechanical depth or anything like that. No innovation. So I do think that, you know, Call of Duty isn't going to get better because of Microsoft's. I think the way Activision runs its company. I'm not talking about the conditions of the workplace. I'm talking about how they curate gaming experiences and how they design games, and their attitude towards games is very similar to Microsoft's. So they go perfect together. Let Microsoft have them, right? But I just want to
say this, right?
And I think Zuby wanted to speak as well.
Sorry. Let Chris go because he was going to say.
Oh, was it Chris? Sorry, you're right. Okay, Chris. We'll get Chris, then Zuby, then Akira. Go.
I forgot what I was going to say. But I wanted to bring this up when it comes. Did y'all read like the entire quotes of Jim Ryan after this?
Yeah, I read it.
Okay, so what did you think
some of
about when you read some of it? Okay. What did you think when he said, he was talking about acquiring PlayStation, not PlayStation, acquiring Bungie and stuff like that. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but he said right here, he says, "I've been on record talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. This can take many forms, and definitely one of the main ones is the ability for wonderful games that we've been making over the past 25 years to be enjoyed in different places and played in different ways. We are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that. We have an aggressive roadmap with live services and an opportunity to work and particularly learn from the brilliant and talented people from Bungie. That is going to considerably accelerate the journey we find ourselves on." So, what do y'all think? What are y'all making that? Because that's the same shit. This is what I was saying earlier. This is the exact same shit that Microsoft is saying. And he says, we are starting to go multi-platform. You've seen that, and we have an aggressive roadmap with live services. And then he says, I've been on work talking about increasing the size of the PlayStation community and expanding beyond our historic console heartland. I'm sorry, somebody was going to say something?
No, I was sounding my wife, sorry.
No, you good. So,
what's your thoughts on that, Zuby?
Yeah, and the way I interpret it is PC. 100% like PC is Sony's going to expand their Horizon Zero Dawn made 250% return on investment. Like, if it's going to bring money in, Sony's going to go there. Like, that's what people forget. Like, Jim Ryan is a businessman. He knows numbers, and he's made a lot of PlayStation's dominance in Europe is because of him. I'm sorry to say, he's dominated the territories, and PlayStation games are going to go to PC. That's a fact, in my opinion, and is going to go everywhere in terms of where cloud goes. So that app will be everywhere.
So do you think native to PC will be day one?
I don't think it will. Yeah, I don't think it will be first party.
I don't think
first party.
One second.
I don't think me neither.
Akira, I'm just gonna mute you, brother, just for a minute. Whilst you're talking. Sorry, bro. Carry on, Zuby.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be specifically from the first party. I think it's gonna be from Deviation Games, Firewalk, and live service games.
Yo, Akira, mute yourself. You keep talking.
I've just muted him now.
Yeah. Lost my foot. Deviation Games, Firewalk, Haven, especially the live service games. I believe those would be on PC. Those will be expanded to that platform. Especially if you want that engagement, stuff like Wolverine and Spider-Man that's been announced. God of War. I see that at least 2 years on PlayStation. After that, they'll definitely go on PC. I don't know about Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's a really console game, but the other IP, I see that going to PC.
So you don't think it'll be across the board in general, every game has to be on PC day one, but you think that they'll be tailor picked, so to speak?
I'll be honest, the way I feel as well is exclusives are dead. That's how I've since the
not if you're Nintendo.
Yeah, if Nintendo's, I'm sorry, but they're not innovating. They're just way behind. Personally, I agree with the other stuff someone else might say, but Nintendo is that they're not pushing the industry forward that chip. They're just banking on their own IP. That's not, for me, moving the industry forward. Sony will move the industry forward. Whether it's the games or the technology or cloud gaming, they will innovate. And again, back to the point, the exclusives are dead. In my opinion, now you'll only see timed exclusives. There's a reason why that only on PlayStation was removed from the PlayStation 5 box art. So
that's a good point.
That's the way I see it. So, but I agree with like Chris as well. Like it is similar to what
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer said, but like yeah, that's the way I see it. Like it is PC.
Yeah, it is very similar. I did mention that a while ago that they want to go beyond. So it's not about consoles anymore.
And,
like I said, it's.
And sorry, that was like the beyond console approach. This is not the first time Jim said it. It was mentioned in last year's financial reports. The one that
he said it before.
I retweeted. So, like, we know that's gonna happen. So we shouldn't be a bit surprised by his comments.
Yeah, no, he said it before, and again, it's beyond console. So I call it now. I call it
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So be
Sony.
Don't be surprised.
The Sony ecosystem, or not? All right, the PlayStation ecosystem. I'm gonna call it the PlayStation ecosystem, right? Because it's not about console anymore.
I'm seeing a lot of resistance in the chat about this.
Shout
out to Brian King. Terrible. We need real exclusives to push hardware. And I agree, Brian King, 100%. But at the same time,
only thing I'll say is Wooly as well. Like Sean Layden said it as well. Like I think he didn't phrase it right when he was talking to
Persona
Jay Barry. He said that I'm gonna go where you are. No, the reason why PlayStation have gone there is because these games are the budget is going higher and higher and higher and higher. You can't sustain that. So if you want the next Uncharted, if you want the next Last of Us, it's gonna have to go there because these games are not sustainable for 200 million to be spent on that system to sell 10 million copies.
Big facts.
It's just not. It's not sustainable. That model is not sustainable. Like that.
Well,
that's the pure reason
not only
why.
That. No, go ahead. Finish. My bad.
Yeah, I'll just finish off here and then you could do. That's the main reason, in my opinion, why you're seeing these games on PC. Like I'm 100% like I've been a PlayStation guy for over 25 years. I've bought all the PlayStations. I've gamed on PC, so I know how it is to like not alienate your core audience, but to move away from it. But you gotta understand like the economics of the situation. Like things are moving like rapidly to push the boundary. Sony want to innovate. That's why it's costed 150 million to make these games. They want to push the boundaries. To do that, you have to have these games on PC. I'm not saying this is day and date. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like the live service games, there'll be day and date, but the main tentpole exclusives, they'll be on PlayStation 5 for 2 years and bang, it will be on PC.
So yeah, I think my bad, but I think that Sony is really just trying to set up and make sure that they have their hands on in gaming in every way, shape, or form. Whether it's owning a multi-platform studio, right now, like with Bungie, right, to still make multi-platform games and also bring games to PC or something like that. Whether it's their mobile, they just opened up, the PlayStation mobile division not too long ago as well. PC, we know they're bringing it. So it seems like they're just trying to have their foothold in all aspects of, but still keep that core PlayStation. Like we're still gonna get the big, exclusives on PlayStation first and stuff like that. Like we're still gonna get a lot of those Naughty Dogs and Santa Monica's and whatnot. But they also want to have their things, and they also want, now they have a few multi-platform developers like San Diego with MLB, and then now Bungie was Destiny, and then having stuff for like their cell phones and stuff like that. So it's really looking like they're trying to have their foothold on all aspects of gaming and not be left behind anywhere, because everybody else is pretty much doing the same thing except for Nintendo. So they're just moving with the industry.
I'm gonna let Akira go, and then I'm gonna give my take, and it might be a bit different.
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? I always said I'm a realist. So despite of me not liking some things, I still, am aware that I need to accept them, because I cannot really change anything by myself, and if the world is changing, then I cannot do really anything about it if the majority is changing along with it. So the thing about this is, I don't think replace is the word that we should use. I think the goal for Sony is to have more than just their console sales. They want also more software sales, because that's kind of like what happens with the games, right? The PC. And this is the thing, man. Like, the only time consoles would cease to exist is if everybody in this world can afford a PC, basically, which is no. A lot of people will still buy a console, right? A lot of people still buy a console, don't have a PC. Or the funny thing about this is that a lot of PC players still own a console, despite of being able to play a third-party game in both machines. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because there will always be difference that will set them apart. Like, again, the thing is, I don't think it's replaced. It's not to replace console owners. It's just really to add up. Like, you want to go beyond consoles. You want to add more sales. Because at the end of the day, I'm saying I'm a realist, because at the end of the day, this shit is still a business. And if we want these games to go on that Sony makes, they also need to be able to run their fucking business. Right. And if they cannot run the business, then we will lose.
So this
basically everything, right? That's kind of like the thin line about this shit. That there are business decisions that we hate, but at the same time, if they cannot make business, then we cannot get anything out of it as consumers. And as consumers, we want the products. It's kind of like what our goal is. We just want the products, and Sony, has a business to run, and they need to figure out how to fucking run this business. And console sales not enough anymore. They also need more software sales, more MTX, more DLC sales out of it, because you saw the pie chart, right? DLC is kind of like a big money maker for PlayStation. And it's kind of like a business thing that people just started embracing now. Like DLC is kind of normal nowadays for people, and it's kind of like that. These decisions will keep on happening. The Halo Infinite thing. I mean, they did that because it's business. It is business, and again, none of these corporations are our friends. They're not gonna do this for the goodness of their hearts and all that shit.
But they do have their legacy to maintain, and I think legacy to PlayStation and mindshare is so important. In fact, it's the exact thing that made Bungie agree to get bought by PlayStation than Microsoft. I mean, mindshare is for developers. Is what from developers is what gave Sony the leverage in that conversation with Bungie over Microsoft a year before. So I do think that they do have that to consider, and this is why I'm in a similar vein to David Faulkner and HD Gamer in the chat. Shout out to you guys. I think Sony are expanding to provide games day one on PC or shortly thereafter on PC. But I do also believe there will always be PlayStation exclusives for at least 2-3 years prior to coming to PC. I think their major first-party studios like Naughty Dog. Sorry, Kara. What?
Well, what I want to say, because I'm about to go. Before I go, it was really cool, man. I hope you guys take care and all that. And what I want to say before I go, because I wanted to say this a while ago. Because I was talking about the content war and the IPs, like David said, right? So, I'm just going to say it right now. Herman Hulse said 2 years ago that they're still a Japanese studio first, and they want to take care of their Japanese games and IPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I'm just going to say is this. Those IPs are very valuable to PlayStation. Even if they're making time exclusive already, they need to secure those IPs, like David said. So please, don't be surprised when Japanese stuff starts getting bought, either by NetEase or Tencent or Sony or even Nintendo.
Well, it definitely won't be Microsoft because they couldn't give two shits about
Microsoft, I don't know yet. To be honest, I really don't know, because I always said
I think Microsoft might try to go for at least one. I think so.
The loss may make shit difficult for these companies, but it's not impossible. It's just going to make extremely difficult.
I also think
it's not really impossible.
Sony are extremely diplomatic, and if people want to make partnerships with them and developers want to, use their studios and to assist them, I'm pretty sure Sony would strike up a deal with the small and the big. But, I think they're very...
Yeah, but I'm just going to say it right now. I mean, for those people who are, let's say, hoping that, Sony makes more Japanese games, I'm just going to tell you guys that this is your generation. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna give you an insight that I have been seeing for the past almost 2 weeks that I still cannot understand.
Don't talk too much, kid. Don't talk too much.
No. I
know what you're talking about, but don't talk too much.
It's Kenshi.
Don't get into trouble.
So I mentioned that the most popular singer in Japan is marketing PlayStation right now. Kenshi, right? And it must have been extremely expensive to get this guy to market PlayStation, because you need to understand. It's been the only ways that PlayStation used to market in Japan before, in PS4, PS3 eras, is that they're either gonna market through software, or they're gonna market through some for example, a Japanese actor on a commercial or something like that, right? For hardware, then, right? The Kenshi marketing, however, is so different from what they did before. It's the biggest marketing move I've seen from PlayStation ever in Japan. Kenshi is the most popular singer in Japan. Everybody will see him. Everybody will want to see him. And if you're gonna look at Japanese Twitter right now, the most questions from people right now, they're also confused like myself, because a lot of people are saying, yeah, I saw Kenshi holding PS5. I want PS5, but I can't get one. That was the first one, and then I don't see any software. Why are they marketing PS5? There's no software. These are like the typical things that PlayStation does in Japan before. This is why a lot of people are confused by these marketing moves. So I have only one conclusion. You're going to spend a lot of money for the biggest marketing move in Japan ever, which just means you got the most popular singer to reveal his new song on a PlayStation commercial while holding a DualSense. You flash a full-body picture of this most popular singer in the big buildings with screens in Japan, all over Japan, while he's holding DualSense. And next week, they're also going to publish one of the most popular magazines in Japan with him as the cover holding the DualSense as well to market PlayStation, because they want to share something about PlayStation development, and they also used him as the face of PlayStation. All of this is the biggest marketing move I've ever seen in Japan, with no software right now to show for it. My only conclusion is they got something a lot for you Japanese game fans, because the only thing that PlayStation can market to Japan are Japanese games.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You cannot market Western games to Japan. It's not going to work.
Big facts.
They have a big exclusive coming out in March that appeals to that appeals to like Gran Turismo. Right, that's big, right?
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, Gran Turismo is big in Japan, but Nintendo tried to market Western games with their Switch. The only one that actually succeeded is Minecraft. Nothing else. So again, the most PlayStation has always. Yeah, sure. The most that PlayStation was always able to capture Japan with is the Japanese games. Without Japanese games, they're gonna lose Japan completely, because that's kind of like what dominates that country. So again, if they're making such a big ass marketing push that I've never seen before, the only conclusion is they got a lot coming for you Japanese game fans like myself. And that's all.
Not only that, they actually hire. They're hiring people in positions to kind of handle that area for them. To Japan and Asia, like Kichiro Urata, right? The XE. This is why, like, I have a conspiracy in my head. Like I said, I don't know no insider shit, right? But I have a conspiracy in my head that one of the main if Sony was to acquire a publisher, or if there's one that's in the making, right? Majority of the people are saying Square Enix, right? Because for a lot of people that makes complete sense, right? Because they already get a lot of their big exclusives anyways, like Final Fantasy, right? That's the main reason why a lot of people say Square Enix.
But I think that makes it less likely because they already have a good relationship with them. What's the point?
Yeah, but
that's the IPs, right? The IPs. Because of the IPs, right? But if you look, like, to me, it's like last year when Resident Evil 8 came out, right? They put out a video. I remember it was like Resident Evil. They put out a video, and within that video, there was nothing but a bunch of PlayStation executives and employees, right? Whether they're game directors or whatnot. Go watch that video. I gotta find it, right? But it was for Resident Evil 8. It was Shuhei Yoshida. It was Mark Cerny. It was a few other people.
Yeah, Mark Cerny is also there.
Only on play that only worked for PlayStation. They were there congratulating Capcom, and they said that they allowed Capcom to use their motion capture technology.
I was thinking Capcom myself, bro. Pragmata is now a Playstation exclusive, I believe. It's been listed.
There's no
they haven't announced that yet, but because they got, but then just last year, right? And this is why, like, the people who are like dooming Sony is doom and gloomed in Japan was always silly to me, because I always said, like, well, you don't know what they're doing in the background to set things up to help alleviate that problem. But just last year, they hired the ex-CEO of Capcom, who has deep ties and relationship with Capcom, but he's part of the Japan-Asia relationships, as long with acquisitions. And then they hired Lin Tao, which I think David, he could break down more of Lin Tao's history.
Lin Tao reports directly to Jim Ryan. You know, she's kind of responsible for.
She's led major acquisitions before. Like, I think she did like the Fox one or something. I don't know. I got to look back.
I mean, basically, Lin Tao is kind of like in charge of something Sony is not normally used to, which is inorganic growth. You know, it was Lin Tao who tried to make a deal with Fox, if I remember the amount correctly, about over $70 billion. And then, of course, you know, Disney is richer, so that didn't happen, right? But the thing is, you know, Lin Tao is kind of like that kind of business person that makes these aggressive inorganic moves that Sony is not so used to. And Lin Tao reports directly to Jim Ryan. And that was established about 1.5 years ago, David, I believe. 1.5 years ago, I believe, she got a promotion, and then all of a sudden she reports directly to Jim Ryan. Before, that was not the case, but, you know, it became like that. And Lin Tao is kind of like this very veteran at PlayStation, worked lots of years, you know, with so many legends, basically, legendary leaders for PlayStation. Now, I'm just gonna say it right now, guys. I don't know any specifics or which studios or any publishers that Sony is trying to get, but all I'm gonna say is you don't make the biggest marketing push in Japan and show nothing for it with games.
Big facts.
I don't believe that at all.
Go on, David.
Which is why it's the feeling that I have. But yeah, I'm gonna go. Take it.
Yeah, you gotta go with Eric. Take care, bud. Love you, bro.
Peace
all
out,
the best.
Keep safe, bro.
Stay awesome, Karen. Yeah, love that guy. Carry on, David.
Well, yeah, Lin Tao got brought in Sony, reports directly to JR, and pretty much now reports directly to JR. Pretty much was brought in with the specific instruction to go out and secure mergers and acquisitions, and that's what that person is well known for doing. You know, we touch back on this thing of Sony's broke, Sony's got no money. They very, very nearly shut the deal, closed the deal to buy Fox. Sony Pictures was a bee's dick away from buying Fox. And the only reason they didn't was because Disney came in at the back end and went, shit, we need content for our streaming service.
Disney just copyrighted my freaking recording of Lego Star Wars gameplay. I mean, they're just so freaking pathetic. They do my freaking nothing, but carry on. I'm not shitting you. They copyright striked my gameplay of Lego Star Wars. Lego fucking Star Wars. Can I even say the game's name? Am I allowed?
You can say their name because that's freedom of information. Freedom of access, whatever the fuck they call it over there. But that's no. Lintau was responsible for Sony Pictures just about having Fox. And remember, at the time, it was a huge deal. It was Disney's bought Fox, and holy shit, that's the end of the world for this, that, and everything else. It could have quite easily been Sony Pictures buys Fox, and holy shit, Disney better watch out. Now, Disney overpaid for Fox big time. But, you know, that's the kind of power this person has to be able to go out and source these acquisitions. And reporting directly to Jim Ryan without having to go through all the other red tape bullshit. Like, there's a clear directive, and the directive is not secret. They say it every time they publish their bloody quarterly earnings reports. They say it every time they get up and talk at major events. Keep your eyes open for what's coming, for what's coming, for what's coming. Some of these deals are going to take 18 months just to get done. But as I've said before, Microsoft loves to tell the market what they're about to do, like with Activision, and they did it with Bungie. They'll tell them 12 months out. As soon as they start negotiations, they'll announce it because it gives the share price a nice little kick, though it didn't with the Activision one. And they pump their chest and they puff their chest out and they thump on it and go, we are this, that, and everything else. Sony announces deals when they're done, not when they're starting the conversation. They announce it when they're done. So
Sony's is up 4%.
Yeah. And Sony took a 15% dive on the announcement of the Activision stuff. Yeah, they did, but they've recovered quite a substantial amount since then. Microsoft took a dive as well. Most of the tech companies took a dive between the week before Christmas and the back end of January. Mm-hmm. It was across the board, about 15% across the board. Just Sony just happened to have it happen in a day. So, anyway, Lintau is just smashing it, and you know the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. Again, you just got to read what they're stating publicly. You know, all that money, they've hardly spent any of that money. We're not going to hear about the deals when they start the chat. We're going to hear about the deals when the contracts and deals are signed and done. You know, they're not. They Sony didn't announce today, hey, we're entering into an agreement for acquisition for Bungie. Sony announced today that Bungie is right this very second part of PlayStation.
Yeah, they officially own them now. They don't gotta wait. Yeah, they don't gotta wait many months. Yeah.
It's done. It's there. It's finished. We're not having to wait. You know, it's fucking done. And they did it. Again, I'll go and have another crack. Not that I'll really want to, but I'll have another crack at the media. I was reading posts from Jason Schreier saying that when he was writing and talking to Bungie employees, they were only just finding out about it, and they did a company-wide thing at 10 o'clock their time to announce that the deal had been done. No one at fucking Bungie other than senior management knew. No one at PlayStation other than this particular, call it the war room team, fucking knew. Other than senior management. The people involved in the deal kept their mouth shut. But everybody knew something was up because you read the tea leaves and, hey, well, Bungie's
they're acting like it's a freaking bad thing. Like, oh, poor developers that they've suddenly got PlayStation backing them, and poor freaking they're employees. They're not going to lose their job. They're still operating fully independently. They're in fact expanding and growing. So this is no bad thing for the developers at Bungie, and it's no bad thing for the partners at PlayStation either, because they've suddenly they were very, very pleasantly shocked. Like, wow, we've finally got this. We've got this incredible team to welcome to the family. Like, where is the negativity here?
Yeah, they made it clear too that they were gonna remain as is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Big facts. Sorry if I'm talking too close to the mic, guys. Apologies.
No, you're right. The point that I was trying to get to, was that you hear about all these media people with their inside knowledge and their inside information and this and that and everything else. How come Jason Schreier found out bang on the time when they fucking announced it? Where was his insider knowledge about this thing coming down the pipeline to be announced? Like, the way he wrote those tweets was as if he had no fucking clue. Mm-hmm. And then he was trying to take credit for telling Bungie employees that it was happening when they were already in the fucking call.
Yeah.
Like, if the media, the published media that rely on clicks and clickbait and all that shit to generate their revenue, they drive me up the fucking wall. Because no one had a clue. when this was going to happen.
Driving me around the fucking bend,
no one
mate.
had a fucking clue.
Mate, no.
Sorry, I'm carrying on here.
No, you're speaking absolute facts, bro.
Yeah, I need to touch on something that Chris was saying before about the multi-platform stuff.
Yeah, I want to touch on that as well. I still got to finish my take, but carry on, David, and I'll go after you.
Sorry, I've got about 10.
I'll finish after that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, no, that's right. Jim Ryan's very specific with what he says. Zuby will agree with me on this. When you're the boss of a company, you've got to be very precise with how you word things. And if you're reading what they're saying, you've got to know how to read between the lines and above the lines and across the lines and every other fucking permutation there is, right?
100%.
Right. So he's saying they're going to go to multiple platforms. But he hasn't said which, and he hasn't said what the timeline is, and he hasn't said anything about whether one game or an IP, and Uncharted I use in the chat as an example, but Uncharted as an example. Uncharted 4 and Legacy of Thieves, is it Legacy of Thieves? That just came out this week, last week, whenever it was, a few days ago. And it's the update on the console, but it's combined with the PC release, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's gone gangbusters over this thing. And did it crack 90 on Metacritic, or was it an 87?
87.
One of them cracked 90.
But it's not even on PC yet. It's coming to PC, but it's not on PC yet.
Yeah. So it's cracked an 87, and it's a game that's however many years old, and it looks brilliant, right? So they've put a bit of effort into this one, but they started from a really good base. That game is going to be pretty much what those two were on the console release, but they might turn around in 2 years' time and go, hey, guess what? Legacy of Thieves Collection's coming to mobile. And it might not be anything even like what Legacy of Thieves is on console and PC. It'll be adapted for mobile, and it might be a completely different way of playing it. So, but Uncharted's on mobile, then they might make a new Uncharted game specifically for handheld devices or mobile on-the-go gaming.
They already did with Golden Abyss.
They did. And look, they got the possibility to do multiple different things across multiple platforms. It's very unlikely that they're going to put an Uncharted game on a rival platform, like that's competing in their main space. But it's not out of the question to think that we might see a version of Uncharted within being played on an Apple phone. Like it doesn't have to be within that one, they call them ecosystems, but the ability to go multi-platform doesn't mean everything's going everywhere on the first day and it all looks exactly the fucking same.
It's to expand the brand, the PlayStation brand.
Exactly. Every IP is effectively a cash cow, and they will milk that fucking cow till it's dry, and then they'll pump it up with some feed, and they'll give it a breast, and then they'll milk the fucking thing again. And they can do it multiple different ways. As I said before, what they've always lacked is the critical expertise and the manpower to do it across different platforms. And that's where the inorganic growth is going to come from, is getting into those other markets. They've done it here with Bungie because Bungie are really good with PC stuff. They did it when they bought Nexus. If they go out and get Square Enix, or Capcom, they're going to have a huge influx of mobile gaming technical savvy.
Just bring me back Dragon's Dogma. Oh, just bring me back Dragon's Dogma. My days.
Well, that Monster Hunter is huge too. That's a live service game, which they said they want to do more live service games.
I'm just saying it would be ironic it would just be ironic as fuck if they purchased Capcom and also had Monster Hunter, because if you think about it, Microsoft want a Monster Hunter like game, Sony buy Capcom, and on top of that, Microsoft wanted Bungie back and just bought COD. Sony just bought Bungie. It'd just be like whatever Microsoft do with all the money they have, they just can't seem to win. It's just.
And Sony got KOTOR exclusive.
Carry on, sorry. Yeah, exactly. And they got KOTOR. It's just like, oh my days, you just can't. They just can't get a break, can they? Carry on, David.
Yeah. Sorry. So that's just finish the point on that. And just to touch on what Akira was saying about the marketing and promotional stuff in Japan, that thing has cost them an arm and a leg and their left testicle, right? That is a huge amount of money to get someone like that to promote a product that they can't fucking supply at this point in time. So either they're sitting on a massive supply that they're going to release with something, or they've got something coming down the pipeline that they wanted to generate hype from. You don't spend that much money just to pull hype off someone else to then have nothing to offer. There's something big coming, but it's a slow burn. So they did launch the commercial snippet last week. They've got him sit on the big billboards. They've got the magazine coming in a couple of weeks. They've got the new music video dropping. I think it's this week. So it's leading up to something.
Within the next 3 months, I swear it's going to be revealed.
Well, there's a gap in June. There's a gap in June, and I still think that we haven't seen what it is. You look at and that's why I really want to see their forecast for the next quarter when they drop their financial reporting on the 2nd. There's a gap in June. Forspoken is not going to do the numbers that they're suggesting in the last forecast.
And
there's a gap
May,
in June, July.
That's May, Forspoken.
Yeah, there's a gap there.
There is. I'd argue there's a gap in May as well. Forspoken aside, I'd say May is still left pretty empty. So May, June, July, it's a big gap, and they are going to fill it. If what you say holds up, bro.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just wanted to touch on those points.
Bro,
and again, sorry for being in
and
out, guys.
Bro. You every time you jump on, the crowd goes wild. They freaking love you. They say you were a great acquisition, great investment. I couldn't agree more, mate. You're the dog's fucking bollocks. You are the dog's bollocks, and
I was cheap.
We
I was
appreciate
cheap
you
too, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were very cheap. You didn't take much. You were like Insomniac. All you took was a pretty please and a thank you.
No, but it's cool. I'll hang around and listen for about five more minutes. But I'm keen to hear Chris and Zoob talk about some stuff.
I want to hear Zuby finish his point, and then I'll go with my point, and then hear the rest of whatever Zuby or Chris or yourself have to say. Go on, Zuby, my bro. Carry on your point.
After this, I'll go. But I'll just finish on the point I was making about the beyond console approach. So, even Sean Layden said he made a amazing point. He said, I want to see what a 15-hour AAA game looks like, and what he meant by that was the budget. The budget would go down to 100 million or so. So that's what he meant. So it's an amazing point he made there. And then second,
who said that point? Sorry.
Sean Layden.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then second point is so the Sony CEO, he said he got a lot of blowback by this, and he said the console model was niche, and everyone came after him and everything. But when you look at the picture again, you have to look at the big picture. He was 100% right. So if you look at the console model, 7 years, just say if you're lucky, you'll sell 100 million, and you'll sell a billion software along with it. In terms of if you see other markets like Apple, how they dominate, make billions of the App Store, is not sustainable. That's how you got to look at it. In terms of the overall picture, 7 years, 100 million sold is not good enough. Apple sells that on one iPhone model alone, in a year. That's just insane amount of disparity in between, and you've got this App Store which makes billions and billions of dollars. So you gotta see he was spot on. I'm sorry, I'm not being horrible to the console fanboys, but you gotta see it what he said, and he was spot on. 7 years, 100 million sold, so big. And again, I'll finish off with this, the last year Sony didn't make a loss with the obviously PlayStation 5 launch, and the main reason was because of PlayStation Plus subscribers. So that offset the loss of the R&D of PlayStation 5. So you're gonna see huge push to services. Totally expect cloud gaming, Sony to take off. This stuff is gonna happen. Is a matter of when, not if.
You shared with us how much Sony are investing in a robust cloud streaming hardware.
Yeah, and even now they're hiring for 50 networking roles. 50. that's so big, like in terms of like the other departments. So in terms
You're
of like,
looking for 10 of them down here.
yeah, Australia's there's loads.
They're looking for 10 network engineers down here, and Square just opened up a massive data center down here to help cover the Asia Pacific region for Final Fantasy 14.
Yep, and
it's nuts what they're going for.
Like I said, I'm not being horrible like to other people, but you got to understand the business aspect of it. You don't want Sony to go under. You don't want to miss on these games because like they push the industry forward. Like this is how Sony lives on. Like you can't expect that model to stay on for 7 years and repeat it to PlayStation.
They have
7.
to adapt, don't they, bro?
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. It's part of the process. I'm not saying day in day. I'm not saying Sony's forgotten about the console. I'm saying, how it's going to expand, like the PlayStation. The brand is going to expand. Yeah. The games are going to expand. Look at the
DVD player. Look at the DVD player. What happened to it, right? Because things go out of date, and if Sony kept everything on disc, didn't push services and stuff like that, the PS5 would be viewed today like the DVD is. What's a DVD? Kids would be asking. What's a PlayStation? Kids would be asking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I just answer Brian King's point as well. He said, "What if cloud fails again?" Like that's what I'm saying. Like this is another thing. Like beyond console is another avenue of money making. Another stream. Like I'm not saying consoles are gonna go away. I'm not saying hardware is gonna go away. I'm just saying this is gonna be additional. That's what Jim Ryan means to meet players where they are.
Cloud gaming is supplementary, right? It's supplementary to PlayStation. Exactly. It's certainly not a massive basket that they're throwing the majority of their eggs in, unlike the competition.
Exactly. And I've used 5G and it's rubbish.
It is.
I'm saying that
I've got it.
It's rubbish, and I'm telling you, like, but there will be a time when this technology,
when we're all cooked alive,
it will expand and it will improve. Like the latency would improve everything. Like I've seen the patents Sony has filed. They're breathtaking and it's brute force. If you're thinking about like PC does brute force, this is doing brute force in the cloud. Like it's amazing what Sony are doing in the cloud. And I'm like I'm saying, like this future of cloud is gonna happen. It's happened to every business. It's gonna happen to PlayStation, and it's a fact. I'm not saying I'm not saying console hardware is gonna go or PC hardware is gonna go. I'm just saying it's gonna be another part of PlayStation that's gonna be a part of PlayStation. Like cloud gaming is gonna come. Like Sony are investing in this. So when it comes, don't be surprised. So that's all I'm saying.
It's expansion.
Yeah, well, exactly. you told us about 4 months ago, Zuby, on the Company of Gamers podcast, during your first ever episode, that it was your first ever podcast that you were with us. What a freaking honor that was! You were a podcast virgin up until then, and you told us about the infrastructure Sony are building for cloud gaming. So we've known for some time. You know, you gave us a heads up.
Yeah, and I like I said, I don't want to be rude or say like that this model's done and this is done, like be the bearer of bad news, but the industry is going to get bigger in terms of that. Like it's going to happen. Like in terms of like the overall picture, like cloud infrastructure is going to expand, is going to improve, and there's ways around it. That's how Sony are doing. Like you really got to understand networking to know what's happening. Like I can't really explain to people who won't understand it. It's a very difficult topic to like speak about because it's very technical.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues they have with network gaming and cloud gaming though is they need to be able to conquer distance.
Yeah,
and that there's no, even electricity over a longer distance, you still have a time lag. So to be able to conquer distance with electricity, the sheer brute force, you either got to make the distance shorter or you've got to power the crap out of it.
Which is which I can imagine is pretty harmful to people close by. I mean, we in essence, people would be cooked alive with.
Well, not just that. The amount of heat that it generates, and then the amount of energy required, not just to power the thing to cover the distance, but the amount of energy required to keep the shit cool. Like you should see some of these data centers that they're building. They are multi-floored liquid cooled, huge amounts of heat pouring out of them. I've seen photos from the data center in Sydney where it's melted concrete.
Yep.
Holy shit.
It's melted fucking concrete.
What the fuck?
And the amount of power that's required to keep them cool is just, it's uneconomical, but it's also environmentally irresponsible. So to fix the problem, they've then got to shrink. Australia is totally different to somewhere like Japan or some smaller countries where the geography is not huge. The UK is small, right? In terms of geography, it's a small place. You come to Australia and you land in Sydney and you drive directly west for an entire day. You're still in the state of New South Wales. You land in Brisbane and you drive north up the coast. You drive for nearly 24 hours and you're barely up near the top of it. The place is freaking huge. And to cover that distance, cloud gaming in Australia, don't even bother. Like, seriously, if you're not within 10 kilometres of the main CBD centre, you don't even bother. 5G is just a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, Zoo. It's huge amounts of technology and huge amounts of resource requirements going into cloud gaming. And it is supplementary. Yeah. That's the point that I would make is, yes, Zuby's right with the console market deterioration. If Sony sell 100 million PS5s, they're doing exceptionally great. But I don't think a PS6 is, by the time they get around to it, going to do 100 million. It might be 80 million is the best they'll do, or 70 million, but it doesn't mean Sony's going to stop making them.
Exactly.
Sony will make
that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask
Sony
you guys.
Makes the PS. Yeah.
Sorry, carry on, bro, and then I'll ask you this last question before you go.
I just wanted to finish on it. Sony's making a PSVR 2. It's going to sell more than the VR, but it relies on a PS5 to do it. But that, down the future, Sony may still make the console, and they'll be happy to make a console and sell it for $500, $600, whatever it is. And it's not necessarily their main revenue stream, but that's where their technology push is coming from. That's where they'll innovate. That's where they'll do all that stuff. It doesn't mean it'll be their main income stream, but Sony won't stop doing it because they want to do that. So other companies are just going, we'll stay with the cloud, we'll put all our resources in the cloud, we'll stick with the streaming service, and that'll be our only path forward. Yeah. Sony's not doing that. They will expand their service offerings, not at the cost of a service offering.
Big facts. Exactly. I think I wanted to ask you guys before you go, because I know how limited on time you are. I just want, if you guys could summarize for us, so we're not accused of clickbait, why did this acquisition happen? Do you think it was in response to Bethesda? And I don't mean top trumps. I don't mean get one back. I mean securing IPs and securing talent to protect that talent from the conglomerate that is Microsoft. Or do you think it's something else? Why did this entire acquisition happen?
You guys do?
I'll just say this, but you're right there, Willie.
yeah. Sorry, I can hear munching. Someone's munching. Got your Pringles, have you, Dave?
Nah, sorry, mate. I just had to put my mask on. I got to walk into a business.
Oh, bless you. No worries, bro. No worries.
Okay. Yeah. The way I see it is,
tell you, he's a man on a fucking mission, isn't he, David? He is a man on a mission. It's ridiculous. I'm just going into a board meeting, guys. I'll talk to you in about 5 minutes once I've fired this motherfucker. I don't know. He's just a man on a mission. Carry on, Zuby.
Yeah. The way like I said to you, Willie, I'm surprised. Bungie agreed to sell. That's more surprising to me than Sony acquiring Bungie. For them, because they've always wanted creative freedom. They're split with Microsoft, split with Activision, because they didn't have creative freedom. That's the main reason. And then second, for Sony side is for in terms of talent, I think that's a big thing. And then it gives them another opportunity in the PC space, to put whatever they want on there. That's my opinion. It gives them avenue from PC to make money from that stream, and give that technology to other PlayStation studios, and give a helping hand to Deviation or anyone else who's making a live service game. And then that's the way I see it.
That's great. That's a great summary, my dude, and I couldn't agree more with you. I do definitely think they're in the best hands possible at PlayStation, and I think Bungie are one of the best, most talented developers, studios, publishers, whatever you want to call it. We can call them a studio because they're like a single entity, right? That they could have acquired that very, very well. Their level of skill very, very well complement the first party studios that PlayStation has.
And I'll just add on, like, it wasn't a reaction to like Activision. That's not what happened. This deal was in for months, and Sony. That's not Sony's MO. They don't react to things. They do something like David said as well that fits to Sony. How are they going to improve Sony studios?
My main thought about reaction was in response to Bethesda.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you, bro. That they don't react to things. How is it that you phrased it?
They don't react to like what the market does, or they're not reactionary. They like I said before, they're very skilled and they're very precise on what to do. They're not like willy-nilly. Oh, we're gonna do this. And that's it.
They subvert expectations, right?
Yep.
Faulkner, do you wanna add anything, or am I all right to rant? You go for it. Otherwise, I don't mind.
No, I was just going to say I agree with Zuby, but it may have been people can say it's definitely not in response to Activision. It may have been in response to ZeniMax, Bethesda, but if you look at the timeline, and Zuby's picked it all, they brought these people on 2.5 years ago to start facilitating all these discussions and deals and all the rest of it before Jim Ryan even took over, which means that they identified the issue 3.5 years prior because they had to hire these people and find them. So Sony's, market leader, industry leader, they have as I keep saying, they got a responsibility to maintain the industry. They could see this coming, and they positioned themselves to not necessarily play dollar for dollar, but they positioned themselves to be able to hold their ground on a lot of things and to make sure that they weren't going to be left behind. So, there's some stuff coming down the pipeline that they've been working on for a couple of years. Microsoft has probably been doing the same, though they seem to be, as I said, they announced the deals at the front end, not the back end. Mm-hmm. Like if they announced the ZeniMax acquisition when it actually happened, it would have only happened 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Not the 12, 18 months beforehand. Same with Activision. By the time it comes through, it's 2 years down the line from here, that they could be announcing that deal. So there's the difference. Sony's a long way ahead of Microsoft already.
They have a list, don't they? A list of things that they have in store. I'm not going to say any more, but they have a list, guys, and it's a big list. And
it's growing.
It's a growing list, but it's a ambitious as freaking crazy list.
Yep. But and in saying that doesn't mean Sony's going to stop their organic growth. They've got not just one arm in the pie, they've got multiple arms in the pie on it now. They're focused on their console, they're focused on their PSVR 2, they're focused on all that side, then they're focusing on the cloud side, they're focusing on their organic growth, they're focusing on their partnerships, they're focusing on inorganic growth. It's not just one linear focus point, it's a growing circle. And while they're doing all this, we haven't even touched on China Hero Project or any of the stuff in South Korea or any of the stuff in Malaysia or any additional stuff that's happening in Europe. We could spend days going over what they're doing and how long in the past they would have had to have identified this to be at this point now.
Yeah.
So they were doing this stuff, prepping for this stuff, probably before the PS5 actually hit the final design points to go to production. So they've got it down the line, mate. Their 10-year vision.
They have.
Man, if I could sit in that boardroom and see it, their 10-year vision would probably blow our heads off.
I never anticipated Sony to acquire as many support studios as they have up until this point. And what I'm thinking about that is, although I don't see them going day and date on PC, I certainly think that if they were to, quality wouldn't be as affected as it would have been had they not acquired 4 support studios in such quick succession as a backbone. But I don't see it happening. I wanted just to, before we briefly, and I mean very briefly, touch on Discord, some news about that. Check your PlayStations, that's all I'll say. Is I just wanted to summarize my thoughts about this whole thing with regards to day and date on PC. I do not see it happening, guys. I don't. However, I do see some of their games going day on date on PC, and I think their expansive second party to becoming first party acquisitions that they clearly are pursuing. I have a very, very strong feeling that, you know, we're going to see the likes of Capcom, Kojima Productions, you know, closely associated studios that aren't part of Sony, but have close connections with Sony, Square Enix, etc. If they were to be acquired by Sony, I see their games going on PC. I see their outer, like, for example, if Sony and their initial king first party studios are the hand, are the main palm, these further acquisitions are the fingers, all right? And I do see those going places. I see their fingers going places, guys. And I see their kind of more recent acquisitions, who have tended to be multi-plat focused. I see them keeping to that pattern, albeit maybe not on Xbox, but definitely on PC. But I don't see the next Naughty Dog game, albeit if it's not a multiplayer but a single player game. I don't see the next Insomniac game or the next, you know, I don't know, flipping Guerrilla game going day and date on PC. If it's a single player focused title, I see it going to PC down the line, definitely. But there's a reason why Ratchet and Clank hasn't reached PC yet, and that's a very recent release. Yes, they have gone multiplat to a degree already, but they hold back and choose wisely what games to release and when. And I think that's all they'll continue to do. And that's my thoughts on that. I don't know if you guys agree.
I totally agree with you, Willie. Like, even Herman Horst said, like, we will never compromise like the PlayStation console. So, I like the live service games, 100%. Like you just said, if they acquire those other companies, I see those games going like day and day,
sticking
like,
to what they do, what they already done. They're looking to expand and acquire studios, and if they acquire studios that already have great experience in multi-platform development, why take that away? It makes no sense.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, you're 100% right. Like that software that's coded to that platform is always much better. Like I know this casino company, and they have proprietary software they use, and basically the guy who coded it, he passed away, and the software keeps crashing and no one knows why. Like, if you see stuff like that, the stuff that's coded to the platform, like you need that. Like, it works so well with that platform, and you can't like get another software that does that same job, so you're stuck, exactly. Basically. So you're 100% right there. Like, the stuff that's coded for that platform is always good. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, because there's advantages to keeping multi-plat focused publishers, even though acquired by Sony, multi-plat publishers, and because their player base are also accustomed to purchasing their games on those platforms. So I mean, like Capcom is popular on PC and Xbox and PlayStation, right? It's not going to suddenly become any less popular on for PC gamers if that game were to go to PC, because Sony are the publisher, because it's still a Capcom game, and Sony probably won't be the publisher of a Capcom game. They'd probably let Capcom keep the primary name, like they have with Bungie. I mean,
and it's wise to do so. Like Microsoft's
very wise
to put like Destined Goblin up company. So like you could get away with it doing it that way as well.
I wanna just get your quick thoughts on Masha one more time. I really like Masha. Shout out to you, pal, in the chat. You're providing good food for thought with your comments, and so is everybody else. The chat's been lit tonight. All of you are freaking amazing, and I love you all. Thank you. But Masha said before that mindshare isn't a big deal, and it doesn't really add value to a product. I disagree very, very strongly. I think mindshare holds a lot of sway on the value of a company or a product, but I might be wrong. What would you guys say to that?
100%. Like I think Jez said it on his podcast. Like he said, if you don't release a product in 1 year, the mindshare is gone and the consumers are not interested in it. So it's 100% right. Like if you release if you saw the Note lineup in Samsung's lineup, they didn't release it for 1 year because of the battery problem, and they lost so much mindshare, and then they had to pivot and make a fan edition one, and then they got that mindshare back. So mindshare is extremely important when you're talking about business and business products and technology. It's so important.
Yeah, big facts. Guys, you've been freaking amazing tonight. Last but by no means least, I can't speak, so that we're not accused of clickbait. That deal 2 years ago about Bungie, PlayStation partnering with Discord. Well, as of, I don't know if it's right now, but within the next, certainly, I think it's now. I think there's an update coming out very, very immediately, as of like very, very, very soon, allowing you to connect your Discord to your PlayStation, and you can chat through Discord on your PlayStation. So it's an exciting new partnership. DZ has just arrived. Oh my god, I don't know if you guys want to stick around. If people have to go, I fully respect that. Zuby, thank you so much. You've been incredible. So have you, David. And I couldn't thank you guys enough. Me and DZ can just hold this out for a little bit. Hear DZ's point of view and perspective whilst you guys go. I don't mind.
Yeah. Again, Willie, it's been such an honor talking with you, and Jez and Chris and Akira and David. Like it's always good to talk.
Honestly, shout out to everyone.
And it's like I said, it's an honor talking with you. Like I said, I've got nothing but respect for what you're doing. Like the panel is good to discuss your passion and just let it out and see a different perspective from everyone else. Like that's what it's all about. And at the end of the day, whoever acquires you is all about fun. Enjoy the games that you get, because you never know like what you're gonna get with these companies, where they might be going or what happens. So support the developers, in my opinion. Like buy the games day one.
Gaming industry's like a box of chocolates, bro. You never know what you're gonna get.
And just support the developers, man. That's all I'll say. And like I said, is David's such an awesome guy. The whole panel that you've assembled is amazing. Like
Zuby, I just wanna echo your point before you finish, bro. Before you finish saying what you're saying, Zuby, let me tell you, I could not be a more proud man at the panel that I've been so blessed to accumulate and get for this show. All I do is run the show, but I am in no way, shape or form like I offer so little compared to you guys, and you, Zuby, are such an invaluable addition. With all the times that you've been on the show, you've just been absolute magic, and everybody loves you. The chat loves you. They love hearing you speak. You speak facts, and you complement and add so much talent, knowledge, and insight. And you and David just bounce off each other like freaking jamming. Jamming peanut butter. I just think you're both awesome. So I just want you to know, bro, that you really appreciate it, and thank you so much for tonight. It's been awesome.
Yeah, likewise, man. I enjoy talking with you guys, like DZ as well, and everyone is amazing. Like,
Appreciate you, Zuby.
yeah, it's gaming's amazing. All you want is innovation, because when innovation's there, it moves the industry forward. You're gonna get better and better products, and that's all I'll say. Like, thank you so much.
We love you, bro.
Take care, mate. Keep safe.
Much love, Zuby,
too,
bro.
David.
All the best, man.
Thank
you. Same to you, David, man. Absolutely. You can by all means stay on. You can whatever you need to do, you do, bro. You do you. But I just want you to know, everybody won't shut up about how much of an invaluable asset you are to this show, and I couldn't agree more. I'm really glad that we got you.
No, I do appreciate the kind words, and again, thank you. You give us a platform to share our thoughts and our opinions, and you let us just go. You don't have a pre-agenda. You don't have a pre-script or anything like a lot of others do. You just give us a platform and you ask us a question and you let us go, and I really appreciate that freedom.
Oh, mate, I appreciate you saying that, bro. Shucks. I'm getting emotional.
That's all right. I'm probably gonna go a little quiet. I just got to quickly duck from this place to that place, but I want to listen to.
That's some sexy music, bro. You got in the background. Yeah, definitely would love to introduce DZ. But Faulkner, thank you, brother. Yep, you go quiet, man. No problem at all. DZ, my bromie. How are you, my dude?
What's going on, man? Absolute fucking pandemonium over these last 2 goddamn weeks. Like, what the hell is going on with 2022 right now, dude? Like, gaming is just all sorts of fucking crazy.
Bro, what was your reactions when you saw this acquisition?
First off, I was just dealing with stuff with the husband because moves that he was trying to make with his side of the business and whatnot didn't exactly pan out. So I was like dealing with being a shoulder for him and them
big shoulders of yours, flipping neck.
as any good spouse would do. They're there for comfort and whatnot. And then I was listening to some of I was in the chat, the Company of Gamers chat, and I saw OT ask a question like, did Sony, he asked a question, did Sony acquire Bungie? And I saw Zuby on there that said power fucking move. So I said, wait a fucking minute here. What the fuck is this nonsense going on here? So I literally went and Googled, and the first thing that came up was Eurogamer speaking vividly about it, and I was just like, what? And then I saw the amount, and I was just like, no, this is nuts. And then I log back onto Twitter, and I checked PlayStation, and sure, lo and behold. And meanwhile, this was happening while I was reading this. A good friend of mine in London said, mate, you're not gonna fucking believe this shit. And then he showed me the thing, and I said, lies, scream, and then everyone saw my reaction to the thing, but like I had to keep most of my thoughts to myself because I was dealing with the stuff with my partner. So like I couldn't speak the way I wanted to speak about it or anything.
You were just pulling weird contorted faces whilst you were holding it all in, and your partner was like, hey, what's wrong? And you're like, I'm just upset for you. I'm just
yeah, literally. So firstly, my reaction to this is holy fucking shit. Bungie, this is it's a very interesting get, so to speak, and I say interesting because there's a lot of caveats that I have. I love Bungie as a studio, and not just because they are now with PlayStation, but because I've spent the last 7-8 years enveloped in the Destiny universe, and some of the community I've met
some amazing people from the Destiny alpha days, back when the PlayStation 4 was literally just about to launch. And Andrew House trotted out the Destiny alpha, and I managed to get in. So like, from that very early on, I was able to see the magic of what Bungie could do in terms of crafting something unique in the multiplayer, in the shared world space. And I've never left the Destiny platform. I've never left Destiny as a platform for a multiplayer shooter or social world shooter, as they called it. In all those 7 years, and I'm still an avid player. I sign in for every major release. I sign in ever so often to complete my my stuff. And like, if people want to run on my my PlayStation Network, ID Severed Gamer, you check my history, you'll see that Destiny 2 has been something, and Destiny 1 has been something that I've gone through just about every iteration. There's probably about maybe 4,000 hours worth of Destiny in there. So like, I fucking love the studio for the work and the universe that they've done. And as a storyteller, it's been awesome for me, because like, Destiny, I came from when Destiny had only a backstory, had only amazing lore, but shit story, and to see them in the play grow to their narrative team to grow to tell these immaculate ass stories now, like, I'm excited. So like, I've been in the Bungie group for the past 8 years. So like, to see this is very cool, that that this is what it is. But like, a few things jump out to me that I want to say about this, and people need to, like, Sony fanboys and just people in general looking at this. All I'm going to say to this is that this is not an organic growth acquisition.
No,
this isn't something. It's definitely not. Like, Bungie never made exclusive games for Sony. They had a partnership that probably started about maybe 10 years ago, the same time that they linked up with Activision. And that was out of necessity, because they worked so long with Microsoft that they needed to branch out. So naturally, Sony did come in and put money and whatnot. And we could say that they have a relationship, because Sony spent money to get exclusive content from Destiny, for however long. But like, this is not an organic growth. This is inorganic. This is one of those acquisitions that's just like, in my opinion, just like Bethesda or Microsoft buying what's the studio that made Compulsion Games. This is like them buying Compulsion Games, or
EA buying EA buying Codemasters or something like that.
Yeah, that's literally what this is. So like, let's not even kid ourselves. This is Microsoft. This is Sony getting a ready-made studio, a ready-made meal, a well-functioning, well-oiled, ready-made meal for them. And for me, this acquisition seems more like an opportune thing. I think of Bungie as an opportunistic entity, an entity that will leverage whatever they may need to leverage to get and elevate themselves to their broader goals. And like, when you stop and you think about this, Bungie used to work for Apple when they made Marathon back in the day, and Microsoft bought them and made Halo and whatnot. And then they used Microsoft until they were able to amass their own funds, and they bought their independence from Microsoft. They gave the Halo name away because Microsoft wasn't going to let them keep Halo, but they bought their independence. And in buying their independence, the first thing that they did was sign with someone that would allow them to keep and publish, that would allow them to keep their IP, but also grow themselves and whatnot. And so throughout those years with Activision, they've since, once again, because of opportunity, severed their ties and pursued their own destiny. And they've brought the Destiny IP to its biggest popularity ever. And they've been strategically over the years making moves to help fortify themselves and grow. Right now, as a production studio, the production side, Bungie is about 650 to about 700 men and women strong, across multitude of disciplines. They've gone through two massive hiring sprees throughout this process. One when they broke away from Activision, and then another when they started staffing up to start their two new IPs that they're working on. And they managed to do that through a partnership by taking out a loan with NetEase. So NetEase loaned them some money, I think in 2017 or 18. I'd have to look that up.
2018.
2019?
2018. Late 2018.
Yeah, late 2018, they took out some money with NetEase, and that was to help them grow and to help them. So that was there. So like I said, they were making moves. They're opportunistic in that sense. And now in 2022, when this thing falls through, they'd have already now gone back into being owned by another publisher. And the terms and the stipulations are why it's important for why this is such why I consider them an opportunistic entity, because Bungie by themselves is literally they're an independent, and they publish and they own an IP. As a matter of fact, they own 3 IPs.
To be as successful as they are, completely independent of Microsoft, when they separated away from them, it's such a testament to how well they manage their business, how well they manage their company. Yeah, they're not perfect. Yeah, Destiny has had rocky stages and rocky patches. But like one of their DLCs was so copy and paste, it was almost insulting. But like three and a half years ago, something like that. I can't remember the name of the DLC, but you were like on a moon or something. Not the moon, you are on a moon. But yeah, it was. Nevertheless, there is no denying the polish, the execution, and just the sheer polish of Destiny 2 and 1, the game itself, but also the testament to how well Bungie have been able to successfully maintain a fan base,
It all like I said, it all stems from them being a very, very well-oiled and well-managed but opportunistic thing. They've made the right set sort of moves to make sure that the studio survives, but not only survive, but also have work and been able to, and this is all from strategic partnerships and knowing the time to bow out from something and blazing their own trail. And so this is kind of why. So like some people were asking me why is Bungie worth $3.6 billion, and why would Sony spend that kind of thing? And it's threefold. It's a threefold thing, right? For Bungie, this means that for them, they could get to continue growing their studio to continue to make more Destiny, because Destiny right now is their moneymaker. Destiny right now prints money. The community's bigger than it ever was. And if you check the Steam, and if you check the Steam numbers, and if you check the Xbox Live numbers, and if you check the PlayStation numbers, PlayStation Network numbers, every year Destiny ranks at somewhere about either the third or the fourth most biggest free-to-play game across all those platforms.
It's enormous. For the value for money that they've just got for $3 billion is not $3.6 billion.
And then, yep. And then, of course, there's the desire for them to take their IPs and make them into multimedia IPs. So IPs that aren't just built on gaming, but could also now progress into TV and TV shows and movies. And they started doing that. They announced that. At the start of Witch Queen, or the start of the when they started doing their things for Witch Queen. And so like they've got an incubating production, multimedia production team in their studio right now, that's devoted to working out the best approach to doing that, and selling to Sony allows them to catapult that to the forefront, because Sony isn't just a gaming. They have a gaming centric wing, which is PlayStation, but PlayStation also has a production studio that tailors to all those things, and they could leverage all of Sony's vast operations within those things to help bring those things forward. So for them, that's what it is, right? That's the opportunity for them to grow, which is why I consider them an opportunistic entity. For Sony, this is their opportunity to have a ready-made meal. This is their opportunity to have a well-functioning, well-managed studio in and of itself that does not need a whole lot of what's the word? Care or direction, because Bungie already has, like I said, two of their own. They already have 3 IPs that they own, 2 of which are being developed right now. In addition to Destiny,
what IPs?
They don't need. They're brand new IPs. I don't know.
Bungie are working on two brand new IPs.
Yeah, they've been. No one knows what they are.
Sorry, repeat that.
No one knows what they are. They haven't given us anything haven't given us anything concrete other than we want to expand beyond Destiny and make some other IPs from scratch. And that's all we've been told.
And that's literally it.
And they specified that Destiny will remain multi-platform, so it's not including all other IPs.
We don't know. We don't know. Because Bungie is keen on making multiplayer, community-focused content and stuff, right? So we don't know what these things are. But they are hiring right now for a number of things. And they announced when they announced this thing, and so basically this is when they announced their NetEase partnership in 2018, they had just started incubatory work on a brand new IP. And a number of people who were working on the Destiny IP broke apart from that just so that they could start the groundwork. And they've been in that. They do this long gestation process, because right before they broke away from Microsoft, they announced that they were working on a brand new IP.
That's nuts. I just want to reiterate quickly before you.
That new IP was Destiny. So they do these long gestation periods where they'll set themselves up and they'll lay out the roadmap for these things, and then they'll go ahead and make these moves. And so like when they finally broke off from Microsoft and started to go heavy into Destiny, at that point they'd already struck deals with both Activision and Sony to help catapult this. So like the fact that they did this in 2018 with NetEase means that we're now 4 years into this process. So it shouldn't be too much longer before we hear about this brand new IP, because in 2020, when they announced that they were going to now extend Destiny's life and Destiny 2 will continue and all this other stuff, and that they're working on newer IPs, and they said they wanted to release 2 new games, or at least release 1 new game before 2025 No.5 that isn't Destiny, that was in regards to, you know, one of their new IPs that they're working on. So they are working on a new IP. It could very well be a community-based thing, but like, because this is under, like I said, to get back to Sony's central point, this Bungie acquiring Bungie solves a thing of having a first-class, top-tier, well-established community live service oriented studio. So this studio
are an absolute expert at FPS games as well, I might add.
Yeah, and they are.
They're up there with ID. They're up there with ID in terms of talent.
So like this solves a whole lot of things. And so people might be looking at this and saying, well, this seems like the weirdest time to do this 2 weeks after. And, you know, acquisitions do not start the moment one person does this. According to some of the sources that I've been talking to and trying to get information on, this acquisition was about half a year already into negotiation process, and they finally were able to settle on something. So I imagine that they looked, so both Sony agreed to this because they looked at the long-term revenue, and it made much more sense now to announce it because they just lost, presumably they've now solved an issue that could be as gargantuan as losing out on Call of Duty after 2 or so years.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. Today's news just made me go, Activision who? Call of what? I'm sorry. Like, I know that's a bit hyperbolic, but it.
I mean, look, it would do that, and people may look at this, but like, the short term thing is that once this acquisition closes, Sony will now have 2 or 3 multi-platform games that they'll now have 2 massive IPs that now they can have across multiple things. You know, we just had the announcement of MLB The Show 22 now coming to Nintendo. Sony's producing a game for Nintendo. How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, repeat that. I was just replying to chat, and I'm really bad at multitasking. Can you repeat that last 20 seconds?
Yeah, I was saying, you know, we're now in a year where Sony will now be producing content for both Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Nintendo. Mm-hmm. They now have 2 IPs. They now have 2 massive IPs that will be servicing multiple platforms.
What's the other IP?
Oh, MLB The Show.
Oh, of course.
It's now on Nintendo. Yeah. MLB The Show 2022 is now launching on a Nintendo platform this year.
Yeah. Big facts. I just want to reiterate to newcomers what Jim Ryan meant when he said multi-platform. That they've already shown that they're going multi-platform. Well, it can be taken some ways. Some people think that means PC day and date on across all games, and that's the end goal. Which is possible, but for me, I think that what they've been doing is they've been acquiring very, very successful, competent multi-plat developers, and they're like the fingers to Sony's palm, and Sony's palm consists of their primary dominant first-party studios that have been going on for a long time, like Naughty Dog, Insomniac, flipping Sucker Punch. You get the idea, and I don't see their games unless hand-picked, maybe multiplayer-focused experiences that they make. Apart from them, I don't see the majority of their games going day and date on PC. I do, however, see if they purchased Capcom, or or in the case with Bungie, they're already kind of cultured and accustomed to making multi-platform games. Why change that? Why get rid of that? So I think their new acquisitions, these outside studios that don't tend to make exclusives for PlayStation.
The inorganic ones.
Yeah, I see them staying multi-plat.
Yeah, they'll sit out. Sorry.
No, go on. Go on, David. Go on.
You're right, mate. The way that they described the Bungie acquisition earlier today in the blog post is pretty much how any of the non-support dev or non-dev team companies or organisations that they're acquiring, that's how they're likely to sit. They'll sit as their own independent piece within the umbrella. They'll have their senior management report up the chain to Jim Ryan and co, but they won't be assimilated in with the rest of the PlayStation studios. They'll still have their independence to a point to allow them to continue to do that multi-platform stuff. It's a great example. Like this Bungie thing's a great example of how others will come into the fold. So, like Bungie's not going to just become Bungie the development house anymore. It'll still be Bungie the developer publisher. You know, that name has value. It's got huge value. They're not going to throw that out the window.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Jim said it best. Jim said it best when he was on the announcement. He said, the community that Bungie has formed with, on their own will remain, and PlayStation will be there to nurture and take care and help grow it and support that community in every way. So basically, all that business, and Sony would be stupid to fold that many million. There's about maybe 15 to 16, maybe 15 to 20 million Destiny accounts active. You're looking somewhere at about maybe 12 to 13 million Destiny players. My numbers are fuzzy. I think the last thing I saw right around the Witch Queen reveal back last year was that Destiny was is about 20 million players strong, with about an average user base of 12 million to 13 million users. So that's quite massive across PlayStation and Xbox and PC, and to fold and tell people, yep, we're just gonna lock that into PlayStation
70%,
territory.
yeah, 70%.
Cut 70% of that. That just wouldn't fly. That's what's making all the money. So it makes sense to keep those things multi-platform, especially when they're that strong anyway.
By the way, guys, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. I'm going to have to wrap this up in the next 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
If that's okay.
Yeah, that's
sorry.
Cool.
You go, DZ. I had one. There's one thing that I want to touch on that DZ brought up, and I think it's another important point about just what gives this deal value. But I'll let you finish first.
Yep. So, yeah, man. For Sony, this solves a massive thing of live revenue, live money revenue, and Sony knows, they're not stupid. They know they need stronger live games to compete, because that's something that they just don't have, like Microsoft has done to invest in earlier on. So they need that drag. So having Bungie, honestly, one of the best one of the best in the industry that's actually still doing things and was doing things independently now, and showing that even as an independent publishing entity that they could do that without any big publishers over their heads dictating what they could do. It just made the right sense for them to do that, and to invest and keep at least that IP and that community intact is going to be a boon, and it's gonna be a boon for Sony, because now Bungie now gets remarkable technology and insight from Sony,
and Sony do from Bungie as well.
And Sony does from, like, if you look at how Herman Holtz and Jim Ryan had structured this, has structured their responses, their stuff, like they said they're looking to learn and synergize and spread all this collaborative. They don't talk about this like any other acquisitions of the past where, these studios get folded into producing first party PlayStation only IPs. They speak about them as if they're their own respected body that matches,
it's like PlayStation Studios with Bungie.
Yeah, that's literally what it feels like. And they still treat these people with respect, and that this is not necessarily that Bungie's now officially a PlayStation Studios studio, but they also are able to run and move Destiny just the same way as they would any other thing. And this whole thing will help benefit because they're a powerhouse within this industry in terms of live games. They've been the one that has been doing it and doing it quite well, much like Warframe. So like when you think about this move will help benefit the people like Guerrilla or Insomniac or all these other multiplayer focused initiatives that they've been having. This is Herman's Holtz and thing to say that, hey, ready-made meals are good too. We've been doing organic growth for some time, and we've got those studios, but we need some ready-made meals, and we need them in areas that we're weakest in. And the live game services, the multiplayer live game service, is something that Sony desperately needs to strengthen. So this definitely solves, at least in my thinking, this will help solve some of the issues they were having in that department. And maybe, in the short term, this will solve that problem, but then also in the long term, it may address Microsoft's decision to, take Call of Duty off PlayStation. We don't know what that's going to look like in 5 to 10 years because popularity in Call of Duty is waning. It's still one of the top playing games, and it's still whatnot, but like popularity in that is waning. And there's talks about it going from being an annualized thing after the contract Sony has runs out to something else. So when Call of Duty in 2025 might be something totally different, and that potential void that could be there might be something for Sony to worry about. And maybe this move right now could potentially solve or subvert some of that blow from it. Destiny's gonna grow. It's never gonna stop growing, and under PlayStation's banner, that's something to look forward to, I guess. So
before we summarize,
that's what I got.
Is there anything else you want to add, DZ or Faulkner, before we summarize this bad boy and get out of here?
DZ can go first if he's got something else.
No, man. I just want to say that it's a strange fucking year in console wars and industry stuff. I'm honestly really, really shocked by this move because I never anticipated that Sony would pull out nearly $4 billion. I mean, I knew something big was going to happen, but I was expecting a massive fucking publisher like Capcom or Square Enix or something closer, but like to see that they've...
Well, I think according to Falky and Zuby, who are in the know, there's a lot more coming. And I mean, Jim Ryan says it himself. He said this is just the beginning, pretty much, in so many words.
I believe them. Who knows? I could be privy to some of those news too, but like I knew something big was coming. I just didn't realize it was going to be Bungie. Yeah. I didn't see Bungie happening at all. That's all I have to say on this.
Crazy news, bro. Crazy.
Yeah. Crazy news cycle.
Falky, take it away.
I suppose to reiterate one of the things DZ just said about how crazy last year and this year has been so far. Like, in fact, we're only just at the start of February. Imagine what it's going to be like when we get into June, July. Stand back from the fences. This thing could go off. What DZ was saying though about Bungie, sort of halfway through what he was talking about, they are a ready-made meal in a sense that they're capable of standing on their own 2 feet. They are a sustainable, and that's the one word that you missed, they're a sustainable business in their own right. What they've always lacked is the ability to generate enough revenue internally to progress to get those second or third or fourth IP off the ground, hence the NetEase loan. What the deal with Sony does is it gives them the security to just go and do it, at the same time as giving them access to the power. I shouldn't say the powerhouse. It gives them access to the production house to make sure that they don't miss with those IPs. Now, Bungie is technically brilliant. And like you pointed out there, Wooly, they have had a couple of little misses here and there. I don't see anything like that ever happening again under Sony.
Certainly not under Yoshida's watchful eye.
They're a sustainable business in their own right. They just needed that IP that Deezy was talking about. It's 12, 18 months we should start seeing something, because it'll be 4.5, 5 years into the cycle.
I was thinking the exact same thing for Faulkner about the fact that with Sony backing them, they have extra manpower as well, extra assets to support them whilst they with continuing to support Destiny 2, but being able to have the leverage and the manpower and the assets to also focus on other developments.
Yeah, you imagine if they go, right, we need, like they said, they want to hire, was it 600 more or something like that? They've got over 1,000 now, and they're saying they want to increase it by 50%. They've now got access to not just the funding to do that, they've got access to the hiring teams to be able to help them do that. Hiring people is ridiculously difficult. It's even more difficult when you don't have a huge amount of funding to go out and hire. Like hiring 10 people takes a lot of money. Hiring 600 plus, PlayStation's got a team that's just an entire division just devoted to acquisitions and onboardings of labour and talent. So now Bungie's got that problem solved. And again, DZ reiterated to a perfect point on what's the trade-off there. Sony gets Bungie and solve their online gaming service issue, and they've plugged the revenue hole with this. In my opinion, they've plugged the revenue hole for Call of Duty disappearing in a couple of years, because now Sony gets all the revenue that they were missing out on from their own platform, and then they're getting whatever the deal is for the revenue that Destiny makes off Steam, and it makes off Xbox and Game Pass deal and all the rest of that stuff. It's not in there anymore, but if it was. So they get that issue solved. Bungie get access to someone like Firesprite to help them get this thing off the ground and finished. Or they get access to XDev, and they get access to DICE, they get access to all the internal cool stuff that's going on. And then Sony gets to leverage off that as well and say, well, can you guys help out Naughty Dog or Guerrilla or whoever it is that's doing whatever they're doing with their first-person games? Like, Bungie now get all of that goodness. And that's why I said earlier, the 3.6 billion, I think I would have thought they wouldn't go over 3. But when you consider that putting on, 100 people adds tens and tens of millions of dollars to your labour costs almost instantly in your forecast, if they've chipped in $500 million to bring on 600 people, that's actually a pretty decent valuation for hiring that many people. So it might just be that this deal is, we paid X amount of money to acquire it, you guys stay independent, and we'll stump up the cash up front, the value of the cash up front for you guys to get this done. So, yeah, I think it is opportunistic, but it's probably something that at the time Bungie were going, well, we're probably not going to get any more loan from NetEase. Not that we don't want to loan any more money. We need someone to come along for the ride as an investor. And, you know, why wouldn't you go to your number one source of revenue for your main game and ask them first?
Mm-hmm. A cinematics producer of God of War tweeted out that so many of her co-workers were at Treyarch, Activision went to Bungie, and now they're all a family again.
Well, you imagine. Yeah, but then, again, DZ nailed it on the head as well. PlayStation, being in that fold, gets them access to Sony Pictures. It gets them access to all this other cool stuff, you know?
They want to go into movies, don't they?
Well, you imagine...
They've wanted to extend. They said it last year that they're now moving. Bungie's now trying to become a lot like. Bungie's now trying to expand their most popular their IPs, into the multimedia.
That's amazing.
Space. So Sony obviously is a multimedia thing. They have tons of leverage and creative force to do this, and they're taking their IPs across multiple medias right now. So like it also just helps put, like, could you imagine PlayStation Productions, Bungie, Sony Pictures presents a Destiny IP.
It'll be the next Star Wars without Disney to ruin it.
You know, or something, you know. So like there's huge potential. You know, to what does it say? What is it? I'm reading this right now. Okay, Bungie. So in the beginning of this, today Bungie begins our journey to become a global multimedia entertainment company. Multimedia.
There you go.
So there you see that. This is from
clearly discussed.
And this is from Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie. And it says they get the creative freedom since doing so. And they say with Sony, the potential for our universes is unlimited. Our future of games will take the bold steps. We remain in charge of our destinies. And what this means with Sony's support, the most immediate change you will see with Bungie is an acceleration and hiring talent across the entire studio to support our ambitious visions. If this speaks to you and you want to help us put a dent in the universe, we are hiring, and they are.
I think, and they said, exciting. Yep, it's exciting.
And they're saying across all disciplines for Destiny 2 and all our new worlds beyond.
I'm just saying, DZ, bro, if Firesprite don't say yes, for whatever reason, there's a lot of narratives to be written, bro.
We're still waiting, bro. We're still waiting.
The nerves are real intense. For those who don't know, DZ has some exciting developments in his professional career as a developer, which is awesome.
I'm glad to hear it, mate. Yeah. Keep it up. You're doing well.
But guys, unless this can be any final last-minute things before we wrap this up completely.
No, that's my final thoughts.
Fantastic. Well, guys, it has been such an incredible show. I do not know where to begin. We've discussed so much. And shout out to all the panel who joined us. Shout out to Akira, Chris Righteous for joining us earlier. Shout out to Zubitech, my boy. Love that guy. Shout out to... Hey, is there anyone else? Shout out to Link for the brief moment he jumped in unexpectedly. Shout out to you, good sir, and we'll have you on the show properly next time so we can properly sit down with you.
Yeah, Jez.
Shout out to Jez, my boy Jez, who in his mysterious ghosty voice was like, I was right, I told you all. Because he predicted the future, that Sony were going to acquire Bungie. Pardon?
No one likes a boaster.
No one likes a boaster, but I'll tell you what, we all love Jez. He'll be vrooming his gears tomorrow at the GT7 reveal on his Grinds My Gears show. So he's got to Jez, change your Grinds My Gears show to vroom your gears. It's got to be done.
It's nuts how Sony stays quiet for so long, and then a week or two out from their bloody earnings reports, they just go mic drop, mic drop, mic drop. It's fucking unreal.
And there's so much more to come by the sounds of it, my dude. So much more to be revealed that we don't know about, and that's very, very exciting.
There's more acquisitions coming down the pipeline.
There is, and they sound bigger than this one.
If Jim is saying that you guys should expect more, like, look, this is a content war. They're laying out the groundwork for future, but also to bolster the PlayStation ecosystem currently and now. So like, this is just the nature of what we are going to, and consolidations like these are happening. Look, I people know where I stand on some of these things. I personally wouldn't have thought of Bungie being something that they could do or that they would do. Am I happy that they're doing it? I personally, they're keeping a massive IP like this multi-platform, and they're not trying to stonewall anything within to just PlayStation. So it's healthy enough. I still think though, like, this is Bungie's just one to watch, because they're opportunistic entities, and they've proven that they do not mind cutting off a hand if they
to
feel
save the
that
body.
They're not growing. They do not.
They are brave, bro.
They definitely will. They definitely will cut off a hand to help make themselves even stronger, and then what they'll do after that is get a prosthetic hand and keep it moving.
Or they're like a gecko where they bite off the tail and it grows back.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, just while we're wrapping this up, there's one point that I just want to throw it right in here at the last minute. And I'd love to talk to you more about. We still need to have our chat, Deezy. You and I got to flesh out some more of this consolidation stuff, mate. I got plenty of stuff.
I'd love to have you guys on a hangout.
Listen, we could do a hangout. We could do a hangout sometime on Friday or something.
Awesome.
We could do one specifically just about acquisitions and what they mean for this.
Well, I tell you what, this would be timely for the Sunday show, and maybe, I mean, I don't know how I can juggle. I'll try and juggle it in with the missus. She's trolling the shit out of me at the moment on Twitter. With regards
Buy
to
some flowers, you lazy bastard.
honestly, I have honestly this YouTube channel is so important to me, but at the same time, I've just got married and my wife, like, I need, I have to juggle and balance. So I will do everything in my power to fit in a hangout before Sunday. But if not, maybe you guys could mash it out on Sunday on the Sunday show as well, because that would be great. If you guys don't mind doing that.
That's not a problem at all. The one last point I wanted to make was, to me, this deal, even as opportunistic as it is, and the way that it's been described, it's signaling to me, not confirming, but signaling to me, Sony believe they are above exclusive content. That by being prepared to have Bungie independent and still put everything on multi-platform, it's signaling to me that Sony are, not that they're out of the content war, not that they're any of that stuff, but they're above needing exclusives to sell their brand. That they've ascended beyond that, and they're happy enough to let stuff that they own be disseminated across multiple different platforms, because they won't rely on it to drive their brand up. I'm starting to get the sniff that that's the case.
And the brand is so big as it is. I don't think it can grow any more through exclusives alone.
No, I think it's pretty telling when they've done that with a staple of their own IPs. Like, they don't own the metal. They don't own the Major League Baseball IP, but the commission basically told them, "Hey, we want this to be a global thing now, and you guys can't have the monopoly on this thing anymore. So either you make it and sell it, or we'll take it and go somewhere else." And they thought it was more lucrative and more sensible to make one of their internal studios that kept making it just take on the workload and go global. So when they renewed that contract with the Major League Baseball Commission, you know, that to me already signaled that
they got
this
strong
Sony
legs.
was in an this already signaled to me that this Sony's no longer the platform of
and I don't know a publisher with more reinforcement than Sony. They've literally bought an entire backbone in the last year through 3 major support studio acquisitions. And you know, with that level of backbone, the cost that multi-platform day one brings is diminished significantly. So that's something else to keep in mind. And maybe you Xbox fanboys listening might call this damage control, call it what you want, but the facts are the facts that they have a huge backbone, and that's not something that many publishers can boast.
Exactly.
So,
and it's I'm not saying that exclusives don't matter anymore. I'm not saying exclusives aren't important. They are.
And they'll continue to be so.
They continue to be, but they don't need exclusives to sell their hardware as much as they have in the past. They've ascended above that. We must have exclusives after exclusive after exclusive to sell the thing. It's this content war has pretty much meant that Sony could ascend above that and go, you know what, exclusives matter, but they've got to be exclusive to, you know, we build them, we own the IP, and you can play them wherever the fuck you like.
And their brand name already has so much power. Like I said, mindshare is a powerful thing, and
the brand is worth so much more.
Yeah,
it's insane.
It is.
And Bungie just joining them, all of a sudden their brand name is now increased. The value of the Bungie was huge, and now it's part of PlayStation. It's like, well, they're never going to make something that's a duck egg anymore. That thing, whatever comes next, is going to be.
It is going to be. Well, yeah, I mean, Bungie's quality commitment to quality has been pretty damn
incredible,
near flawless, right?
Yeah, there was a few hiccups like 3 years ago, but yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you know, but like, yeah, being a part of PlayStation right now is probably the best thing can happen to Bungie,
and it just shows DZ. It shows money. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, it just it gives them an extra layer of added quality, because Sony right now painstakingly goes over the process of having a dud or not, and like the duds are few and far between. You know. The duds are few and far between on PlayStation these days, from their first party studio. Yeah. So, and
that quality is leaking into their movies, and into their other media release stuff. Yeah. It's insane. Like, you look at the Spider-Man movie, that thing is head and shoulders above all the rest of them that were ever made, and they're still saying that they weren't happy with the final result, that it should have been better. I'm like, how much better can you get?
I gotta be honest, guys, I see Bungie being like another Insomniac, in the sense that the output will just accelerate for them, because suddenly they've got this huge boon that they could never have dreamt of better. You know, they've got all the support, all the other studios to learn from and to teach and benefit as well. It's mutually beneficial, but the symbiosis. But on top of that, they've got 3 major support studios that they can reach out to through Sony, Nixus, Visceral Arts, and although Valkyrie are predominantly making their own IP now, they still have experience in that field. Valkyrie and one other, I can't remember who else.
You mean San Mateo?
San Mateo and this Fire Sprite, but they're also dominantly making their own IPs now. But still, they have experience on so many fields, technical fields that Bungie can benefit from. But on top of all of this, guys, they've got the infrastructure in general to focus on other projects and realize their dreams and their creative dreams. And what DZ touched on, they are so courageous. They're one of the most courageous independent studios that exists, because they cut out half their content for the sake of their vision. That is a bold move to make a year and a half ago when they did that. That's a very bold move to make, but that shows the mindset that Bungie have. They were the minds behind Halo. They have so much creative kind of confidence in their vision, and that's something that Sony can, with Sony's backing, is just going to take them to the next level. So I think this is a huge deal for the better, and it's going to bear fruit very, very quickly. So sorry, was somebody else trying to speak, Faulkner?
Yeah, we got it 25 minutes ago. You said final thoughts, and let's go. So I got to go now. So
yeah, me too.
I think we need to wrap up.
Take care, Faulkner. Thank you so much, brother. It's been awesome. Where can we find you?
Forky87 on Twitter. Keep an eye out. Sometimes people say silly things and I have a bit of fun with it.
Oh, my days. Guys, we haven't even touched on that, but that's for another time. Faulkner is destroying people out here. Look up King David. That's all I'll say. Shout out to him. That legend ended up having to delete all his tweets. It was hilarious. DZ, what about you, my brother? Where can we find you?
One more time?
Hello?
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Where can we find you?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Easy? You could find... Sorry, my microphone had fallen. My earpiece had fallen and I couldn't really hear you. You guys could find me on Twitter at DZDevs. I'm all up in the mix. I'm always talking video games. So yeah, you guys could find me there, and you could also find me on the podcast, which I am so privileged to be a part of. Thank you so much, Wooly. It really is an honor to be able to be given an opportunity to speak and speak to everybody. And I'm thankful to everybody who tunes in to listen to me. I don't really think I'm anything that special, but you guys make it all the worthwhile, and this panel appreciates you for it, and so do I. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, everybody in the chat, you've been absolutely lit. And DZ, every time you thank me, bro, same with Faulkner and everybody else, and Zuby, I just feel extremely, I don't know how to say it, I feel almost a bit of imposter syndrome, because I just do not feel worthy of you guys at all. You guys are so incredible. The chat, all of you, I mean, can you believe we had NXG on last week? I just can't get my head around how much this channel is growing and where this podcast is going, but it is all because of you guys on the panel and the chat who watch and support the show, but especially the minds on the panel. What you guys have is so special, and for you to have a platform to voice it, even Zuby now, his confidence is now far stronger and higher than it was on his first rodeo, his first show. He loves sharing his opinion, and he's getting better and better at it each and every day, at voicing his opinion and articulating what he wants to say. And what he has to offer is so high and so amazing, because it's insight into a mind who has so much knowledge on the industry. And it's the same with you, DZ. It's the same with you, Faulkner. It's the same with Akira. All of you guys, OT, shame he wasn't here tonight, but and all the guests that we have on too. HD Gamer, shout out to you. All of you guys are so incredible. I cannot praise you all enough. I love you all. So thank you to everybody in the chat for tonight's show. I hope you guys have enjoyed it and learnt something, and maybe had just benefited in some way or another. I've certainly benefited from all you guys, and I think you're all incredible. So have a great one, fam. Until next time, and we will see you Sunday on the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. But thanks for hanging out with us, and I figured out a slogan for this show, or for in general, before I young out, right? My slogan is this. Really? Are you ready? Yeah. Just remember, folks, don't be a donut, use your noggin. And on that note, I'll see you next time. Peace out, everyone.